Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
What is happening?
What's quacking in?
You look good over there, buddy. You look good.
Thank you.
Green and yellow looks good on you.
I appreciate. I'm a native Oregonian. I know it does.
I think you should be a Green Bay Packer fan, too, now. At this point, come on. Ducks and Packers. Make it a whole thing. Start rooting for West Lynn. You're 3 for 3. You only need one color scheme in your whole life.
I've got my fingernails did.
There you go. They look good.
Little O's.
Yeah, show those off to the camera.
One of my buddies, big old, I don't know what you call these hats. These.
It's not really a bucket hat. It's like a
stylistic bucket hat.
Yeah, a little bit. Like a wide build, kind of for yard work or boozing in the summer, one of the two.
Can you see the jersey? There's a jersey under
we
here.
got a jersey?
What
Okay.
number am I wearing?
Oh, that's a fun game we could play.
$50 on the line, Schultze.
$50.
Who am I wearing? What number is this?
Sucks. I caught you half getting dressed too.
You
and I
each
didn't even
get
see the number.
One guess.
One guess.
One guess.
Who could randomly be worn?
Of my Skoducks.
I'll throw 10 out there because
Number 10?
That's a couple. That was
Skoducks.
Herbert. That's Bo Nix.
Okay. Bo Nix.
Well, it's Herbert or Bo Nix. So you could have your Herbert jersey from 2018 and it still works.
The level
That's
of disrespect to DJ Dixon or Dennis Dixon, DJ Davis. There's been a lot of 10s over the years.
Some good
That's
10s.
But if he's wearing something from 2009, I commend you.
I mean,
Sprague.
effing tan. It's got a silver O on the front, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. This is, I think, a foregone era of Oregon football with the silver O on the front.
You would be correct.
Maybe a 2012-ish jersey, 2013-ish jersey.
Oh, you're in the wheelhouse.
I'm going that. I'm going to go Royce Freeman randomly.
Oh,
Not good. I was on a good start, and then I faded. I got cold there. Hot, cold.
I asked this, I think we all get players mixed in our heads. Was Freeman, we're talking Freeman 2012? What year was he? I thought he was like a 2015-16 guy.
He was, I think he was a 4-year starter.
I know, but, well, I guess that would make sense.
Let me look up his college numbers.
I think he was a true 4-year guy because he played
Yes.
as a freshman.
I think he's their all-time leading rusher.
I believe you are correct on that one.
I believe.
So,
Let's see. He started. He was a third-round pick. I know that. Yeah, you were right. 14 was his first year, 2014.
so it's a little before his
a
time.
little bit before his time.
If I show you the number, will you guess it?
I hope so, if I know the era.
Can I give you one hint before I reveal my big jersey reveal?
Yes, you can.
Please do.
This guy is popular amongst Oregon State football fans.
It's a Thomas Tyner jersey?
Is it like
Before Tyner.
Before Tyner. He's
before
popular amongst
Tyner.
Oregon State fans.
Just like a smidge before what you just referenced with Royce Freeman.
Because I know Tyner was a Beaver, too. He was one of the few. Maybe the only Duck and Beaver.
He is famous for Oregon State fans for a funny reason, not because he played for both teams. He didn't pull an Atticus Sappington.
Okay. Now I'm going to start guessing Joey Harrington, but that's a little bit too far back for 5 picks. We're not going to go quite that far.
Not quite that
silver in
far.
his jersey,
Who else did something stupid in the silver? It had to
He
be
didn't do something stupid. It was
screwed up.
Yeah, it was more a play where it was like, we're losing, but hell yeah.
Got to be quarterback then, right?
I'm struggling right now. I don't know if I can
That's okay. I'll just show it
That's
to
an
you.
interesting bit of history
Actually,
right there.
should I leave it and wait for the reveal at the end?
Sure, we can wait throughout the
I'm
show.
a little afraid the payoff's not going to quite be there with the player.
It'll be a total letdown, but I'm genuinely curious now.
Well, I have a question because I borrowed almost all. You provided these decals, my
Yes.
fingernails, my chains.
You look awesome, man. You look good over there.
But my buddy gave me his pullover, the jersey, the stylistic bucket hat, and I'm afraid that the payoff will not be good enough because I don't know if the player was ever good enough for you to go,
oh, that's the guy.
I think that's what you're going to kind of do.
It's more so I love the random reasons that we get and buy jerseys and why, because the way you're saying this doesn't make it sound like it's an all-time great Duck.
No,
like
it's
not like ooh, I have to get that. So it's more of like a random jersey buy.
I'm almost kind of wondering, I didn't ask my friend this, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm almost wondering why he bought this jersey.
like of all the jerseys, why'd you you get this guy?
Of that era,
Yeah.
you mentioned a 10.
That's
there
a
was
good
a
era.
10 as the quarterback of this team.
That's a good era.
But it wasn't the 10 you mentioned.
It's not a Justin Roper jersey.
Oh, no, it's not a number 10. I'm sorry.
Not a
I was
number
gonna say.
I was thinking of Darren Thomas, but he's 11.
Yeah, Darren Thomas was 5.
and 1. He switched to 1. His I believe in the.
Are you
national
lying to me? Was he
championship,
5?
was wearing 1.
I have 11 in my
No,
brain.
he switched away from a number, but I don't know if it was 5.
No, I think maybe you're right. Maybe your number. Maybe
Well,
you're
now I have to look that up.
Well,
We can't just move on without having the answer.
No, in the Natty, he wore number 1, but I can't remember what he wore before.
I am seeing a 1 and a 5. I believe he was 1 to start his career,
5 to end.
and then 5 in his last year.
All right.
Because in the Rose Bowl jersey against Wisconsin, he was number 5. In the national title against Auburn, he was number 1. And then he was an Arena League linebacker.
He was the Arena Portland
Shout
Trout.
out to the Lightning, Crackle, and Thunder.
The Portland Trout. I'll just pay it off now because
Okay.
I don't think the player's really gonna.
The suspense is killing me at this point.
Is it?
It is kind of.
I think you're gonna be underwhelmed.
Oh, I mean, I'm totally going to be underwhelmed, but it'll be a fun walk down memory line to look at the number and see who the hell
Who
it
is this player?
Behind door number 1. Who could it be?
By the way, for all those 10-year-olds on YouTube,
Yeah.
pre-NIL, what player was this number?
We're getting somebody to take their number 20,
Now, who do you think?
John Boyette.
Yep.
I would have gone Matthew Harper. Matthew Harper was a really good number 20 who had a game-sealing interception against USC in 2007.
Yeah, I think this is a little later, though.
John Boyette. Why do Beaver fans like John Boyette? Because he got arrested?
trucked by Quiz in the Civil War. At Reser Stadium.
Okay, touche.
That's like one of their iconic plays of that really crappy Beaver team.
that he got trucked in.
I was at that game, and it was like in the press box, Quiz ran him over. I was like, oh. But they were down 20, so it didn't
I'm
matter.
surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't like because he found himself in some legal trouble when he got to the NFL.
Yeah.
whomst amongst us hasn't. You know,
Come on. I was in the NFL. I used to get arrested every week.
who hasn't gotten drunk and like what did he do? He stole a car or something. He was something along those
Did
lines.
he pull a Rosillo? He got naked and laid on someone's couch.
Walked into the wrong apartment. A John Boyette jersey though is super random. Is
It's
your friend
very random.
Is your friend white? Is he a white?
He's a Mexican.
Oh, okay. And he went John Boyette.
Yeah,
huh?
Espanol.
Interesting.
John Boyette, famous in the Mexican community, I found out.
Yeah, big time in the Mexican community.
Huge. They have a mural in his house. I'm like, why do you have John Boyette on your wall?
He's a legend, man.
You know, he's the
I mean, he
homie.
was a good safety at Oregon. I'll
He
give him
actually
that.
was a good player.
He was
yeah.
a good player.
He was a good college
He'd come
player.
down and lay the wood, just not against Quiz Rogers, evidently.
I don't dress this way as a Beaver fan. This is crazy.
You look fantastic, man. I'm excited to talk about our future quarterback together today. The future is very bright. Look at this. Dan Lanning's making moves.
Now, what do you want from me? Is this about as much as you need from me, or do I need to be
I
like,
need
yeah,
positive
we got
energy.
both quarterbacks good
I need positive energy on Oregon football all day. I need 3 hours of Oregon positive energy
Well, then
talking about how many natties Dan Lanning is going to
You
win.
guys are the off-season national champions every year in
You're
the last
damn right
4 or
we
5
are.
years.
You're
Man.
damn right we are.
Nobody wins the offseason quite like Oregon.
I love that line of attack from Beaver fan. I got that a couple of times last night. Our old digital dam jumped in and said, "Oh, look at that off-season natty!" And then when you responded, there was a Beaver fan. Nobody likes winning the off-season more than Oregon. And first off, God bless Beaver fan for still taking shots. Like
Hell yeah, dude. The rivalry's still on.
you're the Monty Python. Like
You better not lose to us Mountain West folk.
You're the no arms, no legs Monty Python guy that's like bobbing up and down on your stub, like still taking shots. I respect the hustle. I respect the petty. I would be the same exact way as a fan. God bless you. I'm not going to take punches down, but I do enjoy the notion of like off season not mattering in college football. Like, does recruiting not matter?
It only matters for your favorite team.
It only
So
matters.
Oregon
Okay.
State, they might pull in Malik Murphy. That will be the biggest move of the offseason in the Pac-2.
That would be a massive move.
It
would you
would.
be winning the offseason? I would think so. You
damn
got a
right we
former
would.
4-star, highly touted high school quarterback. That'd be a big deal to
Yeah.
bring him in. Like acquiring talent is the first step to winning college football games. Who wins national championships every year? Teams that are top 5 recruiters in the country. Like that's how this sport works. And every time I see that line of attack, I think first, God bless you. Second, are you new here? Do we not know how college football works?
Joes and the Joes.
Have we not been following the sport for our entire lives?
Jimmys and the Joes.
You don't get a lot of random 2-star teams that go on to win national championships. It's a lot of Georgias and Alabamas, and they recruit at the top level.
Well, not to mention the last 2 to 3 seasons, too. I mean, before that, obviously, like the NFL offseason, one of the biggest sporting events in all, you go through the year and people are tuning into the NFL Network, just as much as they are in September to know who's signing with their teams. Now with NIL and basically college free agency, it's the same thing in college football. I mean, it becomes these transfers and signings now, this is like free agency, and it's when you see the Dante Moore hit your phone, it's like, oh, this is big. Kid gets a couple mil. All right. I mean, this feels like free agency.
It is free agency. I saw USC lost 2 defensive players, and there's 2 schools of thought here. There's, those are freshmen. They just got there. They were highly coveted. But there's also, did you see our defense? I don't really care who leaves as long as Bear is the only one that's left on the defensive line.
I thought he was going to the NFL.
The message board thing I saw said
he was still around.
He's still there. Okay. I don't know. Maybe he'll leave. But what I found funny was that was kind of the back and forth, the discourse, and they announced that they picked up a 3-star offensive lineman. And that did not sit well. USC is not, they don't like to see that 3. They need a 4 or they have to have a 5. The seeing the 3 is like, cool. He'll play in 3 years.
I mean, it is funny because we all have examples of our teams, too, of guys who we never cared about when they signed, and then they go on to be great players. Every fan base is that way.
Yeah, the only couple players I remember hearing about, like the program was screaming about them. Ryan Nall was a really big deal for them. He was also the local product.
Came in like a wrecking Nall.
And
Hodgins?
No, not Hodgins. Coletto.
Jack Coletto.
Riley was obsessed with Jack Coletto. And then, his career played out. I kind of get why a guy like Mike Riley would be obsessed with Jack Coletto. Yeah. He's a Swiss Army knife. He plays everything.
He could do a little bit of everything.
And they've had others. Obviously, Isaac Sayamalo's come through there, but he's the son, and he played up the high school up the road. So it's like they've had some good ones, but I remember those 2 names specifically. I had people like, hey, this Nall guy?
It was Oregon fans did the same thing yesterday. They got a commitment from a running back from like a Division II school. Nobody had ever heard of him before, and it was like commitment, and everybody was waiting for some of these big names like Dante Moore to commit. And they're like, really? This is who we're getting? A guy from a D2 school? And people immediately pointed out, like, did we forget where LeGarrette Blount came from? He came from East Mississippi Community College and turned out to have a pretty good career punching people in the face.
Yeah, one of our listeners, Noel, is wondering, I just started watching for the first time. What in the wide world of sports is happening with this duck costume?
Yeah, go Ducks, baby. Go Ducks!
This is the result of being loyal to the soil. I bet on Oregon State, cover point spread.
I mean, in terms of punishment, this is pretty weak.
I went through this yesterday with my 11-year-old because she wasn't aware of what was happening when you did what you've done.
Yeah, like walk around the office naked in a cheerleader suit.
To me, I know you cite the henna neck tattoo, and while I will admit, when you did it, it was funny. It looked hilarious. I think we can agree once the glup fell off.
Yeah, it took a week, and then
it wasn't as noticeable as I thought it would be.
Looked like I had a hickey for the month of December.
And I did say that your cheerleader one was easily the worst.
Easily the worst.
Bet payoff, and
without a doubt.
We would never do that anymore.
No. But nor do I have the figure to pull it off anymore.
I think your figure's gotten better from where it was when you wore that outfit.
You think the cheerleader dad bought is a little bit better now?
Yeah, I think it's a little better. Schultze looks confused because he doesn't know. I don't think Schultze listens to the show. So I'll tell you, he had to wear, I went to Lovers, and I bought an extra large women's cheerleading outfit. And he wore that around our office with like a big sign that said beavers are better than ducks or something. And he went and told everybody in the office. And then I made him take off the thong in the cheerleader outfit, and I put it back in the packaging, and I returned it.
So, I kind of want to vomit.
There's a gal that shared a thong with Andy Johnson.
As far as Dirt walking around in the cheerleading outfit, that sounds great.
Thank you.
He did have one year. I did also note, like I said, hey, he's probably had the worst punishment. He's also had the weakest one where he was supposed to sing our fight song, and he half-heartedly did it. And
yeah, we did the singing thing for a couple of years.
The singing thing was
not very good.
It was okay. We made a couple Christmas songs out of it, but
yeah, this is better than having to chug a can of soup.
Yeah.
Having to chug a can of soup would not have been fun.
I would not want to do that.
Nor wearing a binky the entire show. That would not have been fun.
That would have been funny, though. Visually, that would have been funny. I forgot to do it yesterday. I went Christmas shopping with my daughter all day. and I forgot to pop into the duck store one more time because I'm looking for like don't they have like a bill, like a duck bill that goes over your nose on your face?
Yes, they do.
Don't they have that? It's a thing, right?
A
Yes.
duck bill?
They sell those.
Couldn't
yeah.
find that at the duck store.
I know they have like the little mouthpiece things that you put in
And
your
it makes, like,
mouth,
the
and
duck
you can make
sound.
the duck sound. I don't know about the nose. Yes, that's a pretty good duck
Yeah.
sound right there.
That's about as good as it gets for me. I wish I could talk like that. Then I'd sound like Donald Duck.
You could totally pull it off,
What?
but you just can't talk in that voice.
That's the hard. I can make the sound. I can't talk in that whatever that is.
Yeah,
that
if you
sound.
practiced, you could do it.
Hey, Sko Ducks, baby.
Wait till you see my costume tomorrow. It's our Christmas episode.
I got a hat planned out for you.
What do you mean?
I'm wearing a special hat for the show tomorrow. It's our last show.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it the one where if Uncle Eddie, the snow slopes,
It's not
heat the
Uncle Eddie.
microwave up for 30 seconds, you
Not-
piss your pants and
not-
forget who you are?
Not quite that, but I might. You want me to wear my Griswold jersey in tomorrow? I could wear my Griswold jersey in.
I'm wearing a onesie, so I want you to wear whatever you have.
Oh, if you're wearing a Griswold jersey, oh my
I have a Christmas onesie tomorrow that I cannot wait to show off.
All right, we'll dress up for the last day tomorrow.
It's Christmas, for
Yeah.
God's sake.
I'll wear my Christmas vacation sweater.
Schultze, I got to be honest with you. We need to get going here. I almost pranked you, and I'm glad I stopped myself. I was going to tell you that on our last 3 shows, we like to go all out because it's the end of the year. And I was going to tell you on this day, we dress in tuxedos or the closest thing to a tuxedo. And I was going to tell you to wear yours. And I think you would have done it because you're a big team guy.
Big team player.
And then you would have come in and seen Dirt in a Winco pullover and me decked out in duck gear. And you would have just felt ridiculous.
I would have been the Jim Halpert of
Yes.
the 1080 the fan.
Ironically dressing up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're wearing a suit today, huh? Looking good, Schultze.
Well, despite my outfit, we've got a great show today.
And we do. We have a wonderful show.
Let's get going. It is a Tuesday that feels like a Thursday because of the way the week is for us. We got the mail sack to get to at 8:15. Any and all questions are welcome at the Vancouver Ford text line. Dirt and Sprague, we get it going next on The Fan. Somebody says I look like a homeless guy.
I think you look terrific, man.
Thank
You look
you.
like a business leader. You look like somebody who is taking charge in society,
No, you look
causing
great.
positive change in the world.
I feel like I'm taking charge in Jurassic Park with this hat.
Crikey!
Ready to go fishing.
Don't move. He can't see if you don't move.
Ready to go lasso a wild animal, man. Come on.
Why do we do that? Why do we put these hats on and we want to do Australian accents?
It just immediately comes out, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah. Now that's a knife.
That's an alligator.
What's that guy doing? The Crocodile Dundee guy.
I wonder what happened to Crocodile Dundee.
He's got to be just retired, living the dream life in Australia now, right?
Didn't they try and redo Crocodile Dundee?
sure.
Did they like make a new version of it?
I thought they made a new one, didn't they?
I know
had a
Paul
real-
Hogan had health problems, and then
Oh,
was-
that's too bad.
Yeah,
I like
think
Paul
he's
Hogan.
okay, but that's the last that I saw in
God, I had such a crush on that.
Paul Hogan is still alive. He is 84 years old.
He's 84.
84
Man,
years
he
old.
was good for him to have that film out because at that point in his life, he was cut up, man.
Yes, he was.
That was a tough SOB in the day.
That was peak, peak Australian badass.
It
right
absolutely was. All right. If anybody's tuning in and seeing this, I am paying off the Civil War bet we made. I took Oregon State, obviously, and my coach left, and then he dumped his clothes at the Goodwill, and I put the Goodwill clothes that I found on.
That's right.
No, I didn't. These are all my friends' clothes. And Dirt gave me the face decals and this necklace.
You got to have the decals. I mean, come on. The decal, you're not at a college football game without decals on your face.
People do this
requirement.
every weekend, and I'm
Every
amazed.
weekend.
I'm amazed.
And you got to go home and you got to scrub them off.
Oh,
It's always funny
God.
to think the people who go all out to dress up for games and then their team loses, like how sad that is in the mirror, washing the face paint off at the end of the night.
I picture the Ohio State guy who's
Yeah.
bald and has the whole head painted, like him driving home after Michigan wins again. Damn it!
The big nut. He's got to go scrub his forehead, man. Is that what he calls himself?
He calls himself the Big Nut.
I mean, they're the Buckeyes. The Buckeye is a nut. He's a big fan. I think just call him the Big Nut. Run with it.
Patrick says, "Don't do drugs, kids. Say no to drugs." Oh, the rivalry talk will continue. I wanted to start with something. We're already against it, but I wanted to start in sports misery. If you guys would oblige me.
I'll allow it.
The Detroit Pistons lost their 24th straight game last night to the Atlanta Hawks.
They have not won a game since the World Series was on.
Yes, I believe it was September.
Let's see.
Not really, but like it feels like that long ago.
Their last win,
October 28th.
Saturday, October 28th.
Yeah.
They beat the Bulls 118 to 102. They were 2-1 out of the gate. They were above 500 3 games into the season.
Dude, when Coach Williams is bringing up his dead wife, rest in peace, and like experiencing personal tragedies and comparing that to the 24-game losing streak, you know it's bad. That has got to be a down luck.
Schultze, that's a good thing to bring up because you know why? There's a lot of chatter. Not that the Pistons had expectations. There's a lot of chatter. This is getting so bad because they didn't envision this. That dude's making like $18 million a year as a coach. 18 in a league that needs the roster to be good for that coach to look good.
Yes.
There's rumblings that they might blow the whole thing up, and they just assembled it. They might fire Monty. Troy Reaver is their general manager, former player. They might just scrap the whole thing because of how bad this is. We talked yesterday how college football fan, all of them are miserable except like 4 fan bases, maybe.
Even Georgia fan are like complaining right now. How did we not get in the playoff?
Oh, you don't think Texas fan is ecstatic and in the same way? Like, really? We're going to play Washington? Why couldn't we play Michigan? Like, everybody gets mad about something. I don't know if there's a more miserable sports fan that exists in pro sports. Can you one up Detroit Piston fan right now?
Right now,
Is Carolina Panther fan at the same level?
I would argue yes.
Because there was like 10. Did you see what tickets were going for that Falcon Panther game?
I would hope for free, or you'd have to pay me to go to the game.
45 cents.
Yeah, I mean, why would anybody? It was a downpour.
Yeah.
The Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, and the Falcons suck.
Terrible.
Nobody wants to pay to watch Desmond Ridder play and Arthur Smith with his head up his ass not give the ball to his best player.
He benched him again.
He had like 8 total touches. He was a top 10 pick in the draft.
Oh,
They
no.
won't give him the football.
You're not wrong there. I meant he just announced today he's
the
benched Ridder
yeah.
again. And I
That'll
don't think-
solve it. Way to go. Nice job, Arthur. Well done. Heineke's
Artie.
definitely going to solve all your problems. Well decided. Look, here's what I'll say. Right now, no. I mean, they've lost 24 games in a row. That's embarrassing. What's the longest losing streak in the history of the NBA?
I'll have to go look it up, but
Because it has to be close. Like, we've had teams win less than 10 games, but to have a 24-game losing streak,
I think their next game is against Utah. If they don't beat the Utah Jazz, go look at the schedule. And
26 is your record.
so they're 2 games away from tying. Go look at the schedule of the Detroit Pistons and tell me, if they don't beat Utah, who will they beat? What team is going to go, it's the Pistons, half drunk, roll into the game. Oh, man, I'm about to throw up. We're down 20 in Detroit right now. This is awful. What team is that team going to be?
I mean, they're not beating anybody.
It's got to be a marquee team. It's got to be like the Clippers, right? Or LeBron and the Lakers.
That nobody sees coming. Like,
Or
how the hell?
Durant and the Suns. It's got to be a team you never expect to lose.
Now, I don't know how I know this, but I believe the Utah Jazz have won 2 of their last 3 games. I'm going to go out on a limb and shoot from the hip and say that's a fact.
Well, I think you'd know that because you watched them beat Portland by 30.
I did, but I thought they won another game in the mix, too. So they're technically riding a bit of a heater right now.
The
Watch
Jazz.
out for the Utah Jazz. Now, they do have to go to Detroit. So tough place to play.
Yeah.
You got to go into Detroit. I don't know what the line is on that game. You can get in for $15, though. And then, yeah, Brooklyn twice, Boston, Toronto, Houston, Utah, and then they start a road trip in early January.
Toronto's a weird team because they're outside of the play-in tournament right now. Not that any of that matters today, but Toronto's a weird team in the sense of many think they're going to blow that situation up eventually.
I mean, they should. What are we doing here?
And that might be the team that like, oh, Pistons, who cares? And then they're, oh, we're down 8. Like, oh, no.
We can do this.
We
guys.
lost. You don't want to be that team. You don't want to be the team that loses to that Pistons team.
Can you guess the 2 teams who were tied for the longest losing streak in a single season? There's 2 of them at 26 games.
in the NBA?
In the NBA.
76ers.
The Philadelphia 76ers in 2013, 2014.
Dallas Mavericks.
And not the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh,
It was actually one that I probably wouldn't have guessed.
The Suns?
No, it is a team, but not the year that you think it was. So the Cavs had the year where they drafted LeBron.
No, it'd be earlier than that. They had some
later than that.
later than that.
The 2010-2011 Cavs lost 26 games in a row. That would have been the year LeBron left, and they drafted Kyrie Irving, number 1 overall.
That's right. Okay, that was the Kyrie Anthony Bennett kind of run they had.
The all-time record, though, for consecutive when you wrap around seasons, do like the weird hit streak thing, last season to this season is 28, owned by the 76ers from 15 to 16.
Let's play this poll question, and then we'll go to some real stuff here that matters to everybody. Give me the teams in every sport. The Pistons in the NBA. I'm going to say the Panthers.
Is it sad to say that I would still trade our places with the Pistons?
Why?
They've won
You mean like organizational
They've
history?
won a championship in the last 15 years?
Yeah, I don't want to be the Pistons.
Okay, I'd rather have that.
You're not bragging about a title from 03?
We haven't sniffed one in 30 years. And
They
we have,
barely upped us.
we
barely.
have 4 more wins than they do. They also won back-to-back titles in the late 80s, early 90s when we lost 2 championships, one to them.
Well, they also needed our best player to win their 03 title.
That's fine. I would still take their history over ours. Any day.
Panthers, that's an idiotic statement.
We have
Panthers,
6 wins. They have 2. We're 4 wins clear of them. We're not the Pistons. We have 6 wins. Stop, people.
Wow.
Our team sucks.
How did you make this about the Blazers? I don't know.
Because I saw this take yesterday. It's like, oh, at least we're not the Pistons. Like, I would take their 20 years over our last 20 years in a heartbeat.
Really?
They have an NBA championship.
The Dame game winners?
Yes, that's not an NBA championship.
Felt like one.
We're the
didn't it?
Seattle Mariners of fans. We celebrate a divisional round moment. Look at this. Griffey scored. It was in the first round of the playoffs.
Wow.
It's embarrassing.
Schultz.
We've already got enough going on right now with our poor asses. And
It
our
is embarrassing.
Schultz, I don't know what happened to this guy.
What's your all-time ALCS moment to point to? You don't have one.
They got there and when they won 116 games, they lost.
Sure, they lost.
And then if we're going back to the Blazers, it's not like they've never won. So
I mean, we had the Brandon Roy years too. You just
They won in
disregarded all of that.
1977.
You disregarded everything.
91 and 2 and almost there
You know
in
what?
2000.
Were you alive in 91, 92?
No, but I was alive in 2000 and I'm still disappointed about
I
it.
am too. It sucks. Our history sucks. Like, can we stop pretending like we have some great history?
I still feel alive thinking about those Roy and Lillard winners. Oh,
First round series. Oh, it's so good. We got to the second round and then got swept.
nobody made statements in the first round like those Damian Lillard Blazers.
Or that Roy comeback against the Mavs. That, you know what? That did feel like a championship.
It did.
Damn it.
That was our
That's how
championship.
sad our existence is.
You're right.
Okay.
That's how sad it is.
Thank you for doing
What's
that to
Golden
everybody.
State's best first round moment? They can't even tell you because they win championships.
Beating the Mavericks as an 8 seed. That easily has to be their best
That's
first
now
round
like
moment.
the 9th best moment in the history of their organization. 10 years ago, it was their best. Now now it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. We did that, didn't we?
The Katie run doesn't count, so it's technically the fourth thing.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's Pistons, Panthers. What's the baseball? Who's the most depressing baseball team right now in the league? Be honest. Is it the Pirates?
No,
I think Seattle fans take the cake.
You think it's the Mariners? Okay. All right. No, you don't have to explain.
The Pirates are going to spend more than the Mariners.
Well, that's debatable. Nobody has spent
The Pirates
anything.
have, had at least a little more playoff success in the last handful of years than the Mariners.
Jason Kendall, no gloves.
Andrew McCutchen, they had a couple of good runs, actually.
Garrett Cole, too.
Yes.
Okay, Mariners, and then what's the hockey? I wouldn't know the hockey to save my life. It's got to be a Canadian team that sucked. Who's been the worst Canadian team?
I mean, they've all been pretty bad. The Canadian team has not won a Stanley Cup or played for a Stanley Cup in a long time.
That's why I'm picking a Canadian team.
I still think I'm going to go Arizona. They have no fan base. They play in a college stadium that's like 5,000 people.
Okay.
The Winterhawks have a bigger stadium than they do.
You ranting about the Blazers during a Pistons losing streak segment is completely railroaded the clock, and you have ruined our football segment.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
I hate you. I hate you.
We're not that good. Can we stop acting like we're good?
4 games better.
Hey, at least we're not the Pistons, man. We have 6 wins.
Why did you need to bring us down? It's Christmas time, man. I want to rant about that today. I'm going to get to that at 6:45.
I digress.
Let's talk a little NFL. What happened last night and how it sets up for the future. Next on The Fan.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Philadelphia Eagles in a must-win Monday Night Football matchup, 20-17 the final after a Jackson Smith-Njigba touchdown catch from Drew Lock in the final minute. Seattle is now 7-7 as they prepare for the Tennessee Titans next week in their hunt for the playoffs. In college football, former UCLA quarterback Dante Moore has announced he will transfer to Oregon. He has previously flipped his commitment from Oregon to the Bruins. That was last year, but comes back to the Ducks with 3 years of eligibility remaining. In other good news for the Ducks, they flipped Indiana transfer offensive lineman Matthew Bedford away from Colorado. He was a 4-year starter for the Hoosiers. Elsewhere, 5-star 2024 quarterback recruit Dylan Raiola is switching his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska. And in the association, the Portland Trail Blazers back in action tonight. They host the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is 7.5-point favorite. Shaden Sharp, a game-time decision. He's got some right adductor soreness. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. You can catch that one on Root Sports. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultze from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your home for bowl games and the college football playoff. The Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Don't let the game play you. Sports betting is popular among Oregonians, and those who bet on sports are at an increased risk of developing a gambling problem. Learn more at opgr.org or call 1-877-MY-LIMIT. This message is brought to you by VOA Oregon and the Multnomah County Behavioral Health Division.
When looking for new construction, you want to make your dreams come alive. You want innovation and sustainability that knows no bounds. You want to work with masters of their craft. You want Mods PDX. Mods PDX works with homebuyers, architects, and developers to create beautiful, sustainable, and energy-efficient buildings of the highest quality. With our modular approach, your project will be completed sooner than traditional construction, creating a faster return on investment. Work with a team that is focused on collaboration, innovation, and creativity to create your dream. Go to modspdx.com to start your project today.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising! After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene. Video Only.
PG Long has been the Northwest flooring experts for 4 generations and more than 50 years. to serve their partners, builders, and contractors better. PG Long is now the preferred distributor of FIBO wall panel systems in the Pacific Northwest. 100% waterproof, easy to install. FIBO wall systems' distinctive designs are the ideal solution for bathrooms, kitchens, or rooms that demand extra durability and easy cleaning. PG Long is now more than just floors. The partner you trust, the quality you expect. Online at pglongllc.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Drier tomorrow, but temps in the low 50s and wet today.
Weather brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Switch to Cricket today and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. After all, you've been good this year, and they think you really, really deserve it. Smile, you're on Cricket.
This is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Dirt, what am I to do with the Eagles now?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I had this, I wouldn't call it a rant, but I went off on this last week, and I kind of truly meant it. I don't know how to sort out the National Football League. I know it's always been a little wild, unpredictable. Football will football, and we'll eliminate Florida State from being able to compete, and if they could compete and maybe they pull an upset, right? Like, football has always been weird to us in our lives. I don't know why, or maybe I'm in the moment too much. It just feels like this year of the NFL, it feels less predictable than even other years where there's unpredictability.
Yeah, I would say I look at the NFC and I think there's only one team that I truly trust, and it's the team that I've picked to win the Super Bowl from the start of the year, and it's San Francisco. And I don't know if anything even last night would have changed my mind on that. I've seen San Francisco and Philly play in Philly, and now with that loss, that basically locks up home field advantage for San Francisco. We'll wait and see. Crazy things could happen in this sport, but as of now, it looks like they got the front runner spot for that. I think when I look at Philly, their issues are they're not as talented and as elite as they were all over the place last year. And their quarterback play has regressed. And when you combine those two things together, Jalen Hurts had an unbelievable statistical season last year.
He did.
And I think everybody wondered in the moment, is this what is going to be, or is this what it was? And just by that, I mean, there's a lot of guys that have really good years. It's the right system. It's the right fit. All the pieces around him are perfect, and everything just clicks. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen year in and year out. That's what's the difference between the top 3 or 4 guys in the league, because they can do it year in and year out, and the guys who are a flash in the pan and have good years and bad years and go up and go down. Josh Allen has had a little bit of this in his career.
For sure.
3 years ago, it was like, oh my God, this guy's the best quarterback in the league. He loses an offensive coordinator. They can't run the football. The defense misses a piece or two. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's wrong with Josh Allen? He's turning the ball over too much. Jalen Hurts is having a bad year. Like the fact that a month ago we were
to
having
his standards and MVP
to his standards from last year, like for a standard of a franchise top 5 quarterback, he's got 19 touchdowns and 12 picks this year, dude. He threw 2 picks in the second half of the fourth quarter of that game that cost him the game. The last possession, he chucked the ball up into double coverage when you don't need to do it. They had one taking a shot to the end zone that sure you could have called PI, but I'm kind of glad they didn't call it because they were both fighting in the end zone. Like, why are you taking shots there? You got the lead in the game. Run the football. He's not having a good year. 3 straight weeks they have lost. San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle. He's gone over 200 passing yards in one of those games. He's thrown 1 touchdown and then threw 2 picks last night. He's on a rough stretch right now.
That he is. I think what's really hard to figure out is this a Philly coaching problem? Because I don't. Is it a personnel problem? I'm not equipped enough to know through like true X's and O's knowledge what the answer to that question is. But I do find it a little funny. Like I don't really hate the Eagles. They don't move me. I used to root for them once in a while when they had Ray Rhodes and then Andy Reid came in. I liked that team. They were fun. I like the little, the Eagle decal, but I don't know, man. There was something about them getting and losing a Super Bowl that came off like this arrogance of we won it. And you saw it with Sirianni in Kansas City like a month and a half ago, screaming at Chief fan in the tunnel. How about that now? I'm like, how's that going for you, buddy?
Yeah.
You lost your D coordinator. You lost your offensive coordinator. How's all that going for you? And then he made a D coordinator change this week.
He did for this game.
The pencil NASA scientist who doesn't use the pencil ever. So I'm always wondering, why does he have a pencil in his ear?
It's just for the look of it. It looks cool.
It has to be just for the look because
makes you look smarter.
Not using it.
If you see somebody with a pencil in their ear, you immediately think that guy's smart.
Well, and I feel bad because Seahawks fan, we're not trying to slight you here. We wanted to pull. I wanted to pull the Vrabel cut and the Drew Lock post game interview. Our systems crashed, so we can't pull audio right now. It's a pain in the ass. I feel bad. I thought Locke was really good last night to Lisa Salters.
The interview was really cool. Yeah.
Well, I know we don't root for Drew Lock or we don't really care, but like I think what we overlook in media and fandom, those moments matter a great deal to these people.
Oh, it's massive.
Tommy DeVito's dad nearly crying in the stands and the camera showing him because his son is playing for the dream home state team.
Lifetime memory.
And beating the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. I can't fathom having that moment as a parent. And I know we kind of just gloss over that stuff because, Drew Lock sucks. It was a great moment. It was a great throw, but an even better catch, in my opinion, by Smith and Jigba.
The one to Metcalf was a better throw.
Unbelievable.
That was a really good throw. I mean,
that was an unbelievable one.
Throws,
what do you have, Schultze, here?
Oh, I have our radio call if you want it.
Oh, you have it? Okay, here we go. So here's the radio call.
Block from the shotgun. JSN is wide to the far side. Drew looks, throws that way. Got JSN. He reaches up, makes the catch. Touchdown! Seahawks! Holy catfish! What a throw by Drew Lock! What an over-the-shoulder catch by Jackson Smith and Jigba!
An insane catch. That
holy catfish.
Holy catfish is a. Could you pull the holy catfish just as a drop, Schultze? I'd appreciate that. But I mean, he put the throw there, but to catch that by the fingertips, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I could not believe Philly lost that game last night. I mean, I should, but in the sense of playoff positioning, I couldn't believe they had that letdown spot.
I mean, if you win that game, you're not locking up the NFC East, but it's close because Dallas has to go to Miami this weekend. You get one game advantage on them just after losing. They just lost yesterday or 2 days ago to Buffalo, and they had a chance to get a leg up and stay in contention for the number 1 seed. You lose that game, and a lot of that stuff could be out the window. We'll see how the next couple of weeks go. The Drew Lock thing, you're right on. It's a footnote for us. We're going to move on. You won't remember the Drew Lock game in 5 years. That's a lifetime memory for that guy. And those kind of moments are always cool.
Our boss left the game. She texted me before half.
She left the game.
It was 10-0, and she texted me and was like, "This is so depressing to be at with my friend." And I said, "Yeah, well, I mean, it's only 10 points." She goes, "No, we're leaving." She sent me a picture of a hot dog stand outside of Lumen Field. They scored and tied the game, and I went, "You better get back there." She's like, "It's too late." And then they won, and she went, "Oh my God!"
That's the example number 1 of why you never leave a game early, because you never know what's going to happen. Miami Heat fan in the NBA Finals learned that the hard way.
I would argue Seahawk fan did it in the NFC Championship
against
game.
Green Bay.
Yes,
they totally did. It was funny because they almost won last night in spite of Pete Carroll. Like, I thought Pete Carroll had a horrific game last night. Starting with the decision early on to kick the field goal, I just disagree with those kind of calls.
I thought that was cowardice.
10-0. You're 6-7 on the year. Like, what are we doing? Go for it. And then on top of that, they had another moment where they kicked a field goal, and instead of just taking the penalty, they call timeout to not get the delay a game, and then you look up and they only have one timeout with less than a minute to go to try and score, and it's like, could have used that timeout. They weren't decisive enough in the moment. He had the calling timeout that then got the call challenged because he couldn't get the play in on time, and so they had to call the timeout to avoid the delay of game. That allowed Philadelphia to challenge the play in which they saw that Drew Lock was down. Just like, what are you doing? You blew 2 timeouts, and he argued to the officials that he should get that timeout back. That was a game that they won kind of in spite of their head coach, but he's smacking his gum and running around, and it's old Pete Carroll, so it's fun, but I didn't think he had a great game last night at all.
I thought Buck going into the half sounded like the most depressed announcer. I think these guys are tired of the unders hitting every week. It's just like, what are you calling? There's no points being scored. It's 10-3 at the half.
Yes, he had an all-time line, too, with an analytical decision. He said, the analytics say go for it, but that doesn't take into account Drew Lock.
Poor Drew Lock. And then he won the game. Which Joe Buck should have to text Drew Lock, I'm sorry, you may see a quote circulating. I was wrong. Congratulations on that dub.
I think Matt Patricia should have to refund my bet for not having a safety over the top when you have a 4-point lead with 30 seconds in the game.
It was an obvious, we got to throw it deep play.
They have to score a touchdown to win. A field goal does not beat you. There's 30 seconds. They only have one timeout left, and you're playing one-on-one on the outside and letting a corner get beat deep. That's a great defensive strategy.
We'll get to college stuff. We got big announcements yesterday in college football. We got some local school updates to get to as well, and a flipping of the 5-star quarterback. But coming up next, we'll wrap it up with some NFL things here in the first hour, and then we'll dive into the college game next. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan. It's all right because I'm saved by the... I still love the caffeine addiction with Jesse Spanos. That's me right now in my life.
The caffeine pills. Put them down, Jesse. Put them down.
I'm so excited. They made it sound like she was doing fentanyl.
She was injecting black tar heroin, man.
Jesse, put these pills down. What are they? They're caffeine pills. I have to study.
That is an all-time episode.
What?
All time.
How can we do a drug episode with no hard drugs?
Yeah, without cocaine,
Drama.
or heroin, or meth. How funny would that be? A modern Saved by the Bell, and she's just like smoking meth out behind the school. Jesse, what are you doing?
It's like the Cookie Monster on Family Guy when he's putting the cookie on a spoon. Cookie, could have cookie. Just an awful episode. And they couldn't even do weed because back then a lot of these idiots thought weed was going to lead them to heroin.
That was the gateway drug, man.
Was.
Once you start smoking weed, next thing you know, you're homeless.
For madness, baby.
I love that my mom actually said that to me once at a car, and about 10 years later, I caught my mom in the garage hitting a bong, and I'm like, gateway, huh?
What are we gatewaying to here?
Gateway to parenting, I guess. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, has an all-time worst answer to a question that was the easiest question to answer. We need to get to that today.
Yes, he does.
We have some fun with audio in the second hour after we talk about what Oregon did. I wanted to go over a couple little notes here. I saw this one. You know, I quote this guy often, which means I really like his work. And I've tried. I swear on everything. I have done everything. I've emailed. I have texted. I've cold called.
This is our white whale.
I cannot get this guy on the show. I've offered to pay him. I've literally in a text said, you name your price. I will Venmo you right now. And he hasn't responded.
What's the number he responds with that's too high?
That's too high. Like he says, I want this.
You would have a number. We're not doing that for the show.
I offered 50.
Okay, that's
for
reasonable.
A 12-minute hit, which is I've never paid anybody. I've never McAfee'd.
No.
And I just want the guy on because I find him to be one of the brightest analysts, whatever writers out there. Benjamin Solak does a great deep dive article every week on The Ringer. He put this out on the Ravens. The Ravens have lost 7 games in the last 2 regular seasons with Lamar as the starter. They had at least a 75% win probability, according to ESPN's win probability tracker, in the fourth quarter of every single one of those games, Dirt.
Wow.
5 of those 7, they had 90% chances to win in the fourth. So if they don't blow big leads, they win every game with Lamar Jackson, basically.
They're undefeated over the last 2 seasons.
Seemingly, yes, with Lamar Jackson. And we don't need to get into the MVP thing. That was a mind-blowing stat that I read yesterday. And it kind of tracks because you remember their losses. The Colts game, they should have won.
Should have won
it. The Steelers this year, they should have won it. The Dolphins last year at home, remember that game?
God, I gambled on that game. I remember it well.
It was like 35-10.
Yeah.
Lost that game. They do that every once in a while. But largely, we talk about the Niners dominating. The Ravens are right there, too.
So Monday night's going to be a lot of fun. I already told the wife I'm home on the couch. We're done with what we need to do by 5:15 on Christmas night.
I'm 100% with you.
Because that is 11-3 versus 11-3. I don't care if it's Christmas. It's Niners versus Ravens. It might be a Super Bowl preview. They would be my 2 picks for obvious reasons to win the NFC and AFC right now.
So you think this is the Super Bowl that we're going to get?
I just have a hard time.
Just your thoughts. It doesn't matter.
I'm way more confident in San Francisco than I am Baltimore, but if I had to pick now, yes. I don't think anybody's going to beat San Francisco in the NFC. I just don't. I've been on that hill for a long time. AFC's a little more open. Like you tell me Buffalo gets hot. One of these other teams has a nice weekend. Maybe it's Miami that surprises everybody because their defense gets healthy. Like, okay, you can make that argument to me. You would have a hard time arguing to me that the 49ers will not be in the Super Bowl right now. And
final thing on the NFL. We can get to more NFL things later. I want to get to college here. Can we admit something? We're all kind of secretly excited, even though we're not happy that we're excited, but we're secretly excited for Thursday Night Football.
Are we?
Do you know the matchup?
It's Rams and Saints. Is there a reason we're secretly excited? I'm going to watch.
One's chasing still a division, and the other is trying to stay in the wild card. And I know the Rams won't beat the Niners. Rams, I don't know if they're the team I want to play in my first playoff game.
Matthew Stafford.
Nakua and Cup with Stafford and Kyron Williams.
It's a really good coaching job by Sean McVay. From one of the worst teams in the NFL last year, hitting the reset button, having to let some pieces go, trading away Jalen Ramsey, to being back in playoff contention. Stafford's a stud, dude. When he's healthy, man, he can sling it with anybody in the NFL, and he's having a really good year.
So you're not excited.
I mean, I'm going to watch. I don't know if it's not Niners and Ravens.
In the season of 7-7 teams, yes, I'm very excited. Let's go.
Isn't it kind of the NFL, though? 7-7 versus 7-7?
I don't know. I think I've gone, look, as somebody who on this show at times has supported Derek Carr, I've now reached the point that there's nothing about Derek Carr that gets me excited to watch football.
Check down Carr is not my favorite.
Did you see, we didn't talk about the reason they won on Sunday was not Derek Carr. It was Jameis Winston. Did you see what Jameis Winston did?
Tell me what he did.
Oh God, this is Jameis Winston in a nutshell. He showed up to the game dressed like a 70s gangster. I don't know, he was like wearing bell bottoms and stuff, but he had an old school suitcase and he was carrying the suitcase. And everybody then started joking like, we got to find out what's in Jameis Winston's suitcase. And I'm hoping that this is not a joke because somebody tweeted after the game that he said what was in the suitcase was nothing, and that was his pregame speech. He got in front of the team and he said, "Guys, what's keeping us from being the team that we want to be?" Opened up the suitcase, nothing in the suitcase, said nothing. We're in our own way. There's nothing that's in our way. Close the suitcase. They go out and win the game. Grab them by the you-know-what. Eat some crab legs. Jameis Winston getting dubs in New Orleans.
Can I say I usually hate Jameis Winston?
Dude, it was hilarious. Go look at the picture. Just search him on Twitter of him walking in the sideline. It looks like an old 1980s suitcase. Everybody's like, I wonder what he brought in there. And evidently that was his pregame speech.
Detroit gets LA in the first game in the playoffs. You don't tell me Detroit's sweating out of their butts.
Stafford back in Detroit.
Revenge
Stafford,
game.
Goff.
Oh, revenge game for both.
That's
Just
brutal.
Depends what week for the Rams. As the resident Rams fan on the program,
That's right. I forget you're a Rams fan.
God, you're a weird sports fan.
They were in LA when my dad was a kid. Now they're back in
Who
LA.
did your dad root for in college, Schultze?
A Beaver.
Oh, Dad mattered for the NFL, but Dad didn't matter because the Ducks are winning.
No, I took the Ducks from my ex stepdaddy. So the emotional trauma. But hey, I got the Ducks too. So there you go. That's
way to go, dude.
Way to just put a knife in your dad's back. A stepdad's college team.
Oh no!
It.
My dad brought me my Rams fandom, so it doesn't matter.
That would be a fun matchup. Rams Lions in Detroit.
That would be a lot of fun.
I'm all in on that one.
That'd be lovely.
Loaded second hour. Oregon getting 2 huge commits recently. Let's talk about it. Hour 2, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan. back in. Hour number 2, Dirt and Sprague here. It is I, noted Skoduck fan, Brandon Sprague.
Skoducks. I hate that my fan base does that.
The SCO?
I hate the SCO thing.
Like people have they used to hate it and now they just lean into the douchey kind of factor
It's become
of it.
like an ironic thing.
Yeah.
You know, like keep Portland weird. It's like we don't really want Portland to be that weird, but it's like, yeah, keep Portland weird.
Where did it come from? I don't even remember.
Skoducks?
I don't know.
It was when the Cali kids started flocking up here because they're like, man, they got jerseys that are different every week.
This is awesome. They're good at football.
Hey, yo, Dad, out-of-state tuition.
Way too many Californians.
A lot of Californians have flocked to Oregon.
Send them back. Build a wall. Come on.
We have the most Oregonians. I just saw that. Oregon State has the highest enrollment by a pretty wide margin of the in-state schools.
Congratulations. It's because it's easy to get into your school. And it's cheaper.
Really?
Better programs to study.
I thought it was the opposite, but I guess I was wrong.
Oh, Oregon.
No, it's definitely cheaper.
People don't know this.
And easier to get into.
They
have unbelievable academic programs.
I think
the engineering department is awesome.
I think most in-state school kids get into 3.0. They're getting into either one of those schools.
Yes.
Out of state, it's a little different. I've always been honest about it. I didn't grow up with family that were Beavers or, a family of just Ducks. I didn't have a dad. My mom didn't care about sports. It was just me. And so I rooted for whoever was good year to year. You know how I got to Oregon State? It wasn't the media degree.
You didn't want that communications degree?
Well, Oregon State didn't even have media stuff when I enrolled there. You had to go to Oregon for journalism.
Yeah.
Oregon State was like $16,000 overall cheaper for me. I was just like, that's a little closer to Portland, too.
This is a no-brainer. They have a campus radio station. They have a communications degree that I can get. Yep. And once you get in this industry, nobody checks your diploma anyways.
I didn't want to do college, to be honest with you. Great experiences. I met my wife. I didn't want to do college, but they were like, every radio job, degree. And I'm like, now I work it, and I'm like, it's the dumbest thing we've ever had in our industry was mandating kids to have college degrees.
There's not a single person that in my 10-plus years of working here has ever checked to see if I actually graduated from college.
No, nobody really does, to be honest with you. You put it on a resume, we just believe you.
Yeah, that's why I don't have my own show, because I don't have a degree. You guys do?
You don't have a degree, Schultze?
No, I got a scholarship to Mount Hood Community College to sing, and then after 2 years, I decided to, instead of go jump to a 4-year school that I had another scholarship to, I entered radio. Stupid me.
What a profession. Well, I sit here today, and I tell you in all Duck gear, did you see what the Oregon Ducks got yesterday?
I did see this, Bob.
The dream. They pulled off the great heist that Andy Dirt Johnson threw at Brandon Huffman and was kind of laughed at.
I was called an idiot. I was called a buffoon. I was called somebody who was getting high on his own supply.
So they landed Dylan Gabriel. We knew that. Yesterday, they did it. They got Dante Moore to recommit to Oregon because he was committed last December, and then he randomly flipped to UCLA for reasons that are still unknown to us. Started, had a miserable experience, hates Chip Kelly. What's he do? I'm going back where I wanted to go originally.
Yes.
Dan Lanning got Dante Moore, 5-star quarterback, former Bruins starter, to basically, I think, verbally agree to sitting for a year if Gabriel stays healthy.
He 100%. He's not coming to compete for the job. Gabriel's not signing without a guarantee to start, and Dante Moore is not coming without the understanding of, I'm his backup. If he gets hurt, I'll play. I'll play in garbage time, but this is going to be a rest year for me, and then I'll play going forward.
It was kind of a weird feeling because I understand the excitement that Duck fan has. Like, you kind of feel like, great, a position we don't have to worry about for at least 3 years.
Yeah.
My only thing was it also in the same way kind of felt like they got a 1-2 punch, but then you're like, oh yeah, same position. That guy's a big pickup for them. We're not facing him at all. So it was a weird feeling from a non-Duck perspective of, damn it, how did they do that? And then, that guy's not going to play this year anyway.
I mean, he might. Dylan Gabriel has had health issues in his career, and so I think that's the other underrated aspect of this is you have a guy and a backup who has at least played and has some experience, and it's not a, wet behind the ears freshman that has never taken a snap before. So you're going to go into the season with at least a slight sigh of relief. Doesn't mean Dante Moore is going to be, 10 times greater than he was at UCLA, but he's going to have a better offense, better pieces around him, more talent around him than he did at UCLA. I think that's an underrated aspect of it. The second second that he entered the portal, then his grandma had a quote. I saw this. She posted it on social media, basically throwing Chip Kelly under the bus, saying he didn't do what was in the best interest of my grandson.
I find that a little laughable.
I do too.
Gave him a starting gig. He sucked. Put him on the bench. Gave him other spots.
Well, I don't know where. See, and this is where it's interesting. We all speculate on why guys make decisions, right? So Dante Moore decommits at the last second, like literally a year ago today.
12-2, there's an O with him and Dan Lanning in a tree, and then like a day later, he's not committed.
He's in LA and he's signing with UCLA, and it was a shocker, and it was a blow for Oregon fan. We all assumed it was because Bo Nixon announced he was coming back and he wanted to play right away, and he wasn't going to play right away at Oregon. I don't know if that was the answer. Dante Moore never gave an interview and talked about why he committed. We just insinuated that. So I don't know if he wanted to play right away or not, because there were at times this year the vibes of a coach who was looking to save his job by saying, look what I have, look who I got. This is the future of the program. Here's my 5-star blue chip quarterback. So don't fire me because this guy is going to be leading us for the next 3 years, and this is what we have to rely on. So I don't know if he wanted to play right away or not. Kenny Dillingham leaving might have been the only reason that he left, and he didn't have a relationship with Will Stein, and he didn't know the offense, and he thought, I don't know if I want to go there. The irony in all of it, though, is that if he had remained committed, he'd be in line to be the starter right now at Oregon, and Dylan Gabriel wouldn't be a Duck. But his grandma had comments that the most important thing for him when he entered the portal was development. He didn't feel like he was developed. He felt like he was thrown to the wolves, and he looked like a kid at the end of the year that didn't want to play, didn't want to be out there. He lost his confidence. He had no hope left, and it was ugly. It was bad.
The Oregon State, not that he was great going into Oregon State, because that Washington State game, I remember him not being great in that.
Yeah.
It felt like the Oregon State game is where it really kind of just broke completely. It was like, okay, he's throwing pick sixes, and this is done.
They were winning games kind of in spite of him. Then they lost the Utah game where they didn't score a touchdown until like 30 seconds left. You mentioned the Wazoo game. I think they ended up winning that one, but it was an ugly defensive game.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't do anything. And then Oregon State, he threw a bunch of picks in the first half. He wants development. I give the kid a tip of the cap because he realizes jumping to another place and getting a starting job, if he doesn't feel like he's ready, is not the right call. Go learn in a system. If Gabriel gets hurt, you can come in and play next year, but there's not going to be that expectation on him. And Oregon is set now at the most important position on the field for, you would argue, at least the next 3 years.
Where is the area that you're still from the Oregon side of things? Because I don't know the NIL workings of almost any program. We don't have a lot of transparency with this stuff. Matt Rule comes out. He flips Dylan Raiola from Georgia to Nebraska. It's a massive haul for him.
Huge.
I mean, it's the biggest win of his tenure. There's not a single win on the actual football schedule bigger than flipping Dylan Raiola. He told us it's $1.5 to $2 million. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to pretend to know anything that Oregon paid, promised, whatever to get both of those guys. Where's the area that getting a Dante Moore, you like it, but like maybe they haven't addressed the area that you also have circled that's not the quarterback spot?
It's interesting because I feel like Dante Moore answers the biggest question that I have.
Really, the future of the spot.
So,
because they got some offensive line commits as well.
They got by the way, they signed a guy who committed to Colorado already in the portal and then committed to Oregon. So he's a double commit guy in the portal, but he hasn't signed yet, but he sounds...
And you got the Indiana kid as well, right?
That's the Indiana kid. He was the offensive lineman. He had originally committed to Colorado, and then they flipped a commit in the portal. Portal flipping doesn't make any sense. I would argue the biggest weakness, look, you could use another defensive lineman. I think they're going to get one or two in the coming 24 to 48 hours. They've recruited at a really high level there, but I don't know how many of those freshmen, sophomores are ready to play big-time football yet. Edge rusher, you should be okay, especially if you get Birch back. The biggest question I have is at wide receiver. They're losing Troy Franklin. We didn't talk about that, but he announced, to the surprise of nobody, he's going to the draft. They got really good pieces, but there's not, in my opinion, a number one game-changing guy.
I think Tez can be a one.
Maybe he can be.
I do.
The size concerns me.
Sure.
When you give him one-on-one matchups on the outside or you're double teaming him, can he have the same effect that he had? Having Troy Franklin alongside him was a major benefactor. Maybe it's Jurion Dickey. Maybe he's ready for that role. But the irony in this is I think having Dante Moore in the fold might allow them, and we'll see. There's speculation out there they could flip some of the big wide receivers in this year's recruiting class.
Today might be a big day for portal flipping and transfer stuff. I saw a couple insiders on 24/7 speculating today. Why? I don't know, but today might be an interesting day.
If you're trying to land big-time wide receiver commits and you could say, hey, If you come next year, we got Dylan Gabriel, who's one of the most experienced starters, but then the next 2 years, you're going to have Dante Moore throwing the ball to you, who was a top 5 recruit in the country. All of a sudden, wide receivers, I think, are more receptive of your message of what you're sending. So we'll see if they can answer.
I want to stick in college. We got some audio clips to get to. Don't forget the mail sack is at 8:15, so get the mail sack questions in. Christmas-related, holiday-related, sports-related, doesn't matter. Any and all questions are welcome at the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. We'll get to some of the audio, some of which involves college football. I want to get Dirt's thoughts on this and a little bit more on what's going on in the portal and everything else in recruiting. Next, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan. Oh, the Thigh Master.
Step by step, man. That did it for me as a kid.
There was an episode that nobody will remember, but I do, because I was feeling things I'd never felt before. And the kids were interrupting Patrick Duffy's dad character. He was dressed as a horny devil in their bedroom. And he had come out to the bed, and then the kids came in the room, and I just remember going, God, I hope I grow up to be that guy.
I want to be a horny devil.
With Suzanne Summers. Suzanne Summers.
All-timer, dude. Her and Step by Step.
Oh, her and Three's Company.
Three's Company, yeah.
Three's Company, too.
I got to meet her when I was like 4.
You did?
I got to meet Suzanne Summers?
Yeah, so my grandpa, rest in peace, always, he had a buddy that ran the Salem Fair, so the state fair, in the Salem Fairgrounds, and every single year, all the concert goers, they would have their shows, and we got to go behind the stage, and one year Suzanne Summers was there.
What was she doing? Singing?
Oh, God, I can't remember.
Just being Suzanne Summers?
Being hot.
Hey, I'm hot, and I'm famous.
No, so I'm still mad that I was too young to, actually understand, who I was meeting. And
I think it's better.
Look at that.
I think it's better for you that you didn't. You'd be more Jim Carrey in the elevator of Liar Liar.
Yeah.
Mama,
I want to squeeze him.
That's what I'm talking about.
To the room, Daddy! Oh, look at that!
I want to, somebody says, welcome to the B1G Sprague here today. I'm paying off the Civil War bet. I would argue I'm being the most loyal Oregon State fan by doing this, even though it doesn't look like it.
Yes, you have to pay off bets. This is how it works.
I knowingly knew my coach was gone, and his clothes were at Goodwill about 2 a.m. after he got his ass kicked in Eugene, and I still was willing to make the bet. So, question the loyalty on YouTube all you want. I think I'm actually the most loyal for doing this.
Yes, you are.
I want to get to some more college dealings here. We'll save the Eric Adams audio for a little bit later on. I want to get to an audio clip, but I want to first ask you, I think this is really weird. I think Oregon State's doing really good things, and I think Oregon State is doing a little, head-scratching things. They're clearly leaning into the Oregon State ties staff-wise. They made another announcement yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting to me is Damian Martinez got a Dewey, and then they investigated. They scrapped the Dewey charge. He quote tweeted, hell yeah, because Barnes had come out and said, well, he is now eligible to play in the bowl game if there's no DUI, which I like that. I think that's fair.
He also tweeted in the immediate aftermath of it that he apologized and made a mistake, but somehow there's not a Dewey here.
Look, I've had experiences with the Corvallis PD in my time.
I just chuckled at that. If that happened in Eugene, you know what would be being said online right now.
He smoked it all.
I just love that he apologized on social media, clearly admitting his guilt that he was driving high.
Well, I think he was just saying sorry. I don't think he actually was like, I was so high last night, and I'd like to apologize for being so high.
If you got pulled over and got a DUI and you weren't high,
but he didn't get a DUI,
would you tweet out an apology? He did get it. You got charged with DUI, and then they dropped the charges.
Well, then he didn't get charged. I mean, the charges didn't stick. All right. If the glove don't fit, you must quit.
I love it.
What's the weed equivalent to that?
I don't know. There's no.
If there ain't no bud, then you got a dud. All right. We smoked it all.
It's all gone.
Anyways, we move on.
Yes.
On to Seattle.
I digress.
Barnes announces that he's eligible. He basically says, hell yeah, let's go. And then yesterday, their interim coach basically announces that he's not going to play.
Nope, not playing.
And then they say that he's in Texas. He's not at the program in college. He went back home for the winter break. He ain't playing. And I just think the whole thing's kind of weird. I wanted to see him play. I get maybe they don't want him to play, all that. I just thought it was a little weird. He announced he got celebrated. Barnes like, he's back. And then they're like, he's not playing, and he's in Texas.
He's already home.
I mean, he's already in El Paso. Why not just show up to the game?
Yeah, I read that as when he got suspended, he obviously went home because he wasn't. I think when you're suspended, you're probably not allowed to practice around the team. And
plus, it's winter break.
Break. They weren't sure how that was going to work out. I'm not sure when the team exactly returned for practice. And then I think the idea now is that we don't know what he's been doing for the last 2 weeks. And is he in game shape? Is he ready to? Is it worth it to?
That was something mentioned. He's not in game shape.
Speed him back up. Yeah. And the game is, I think, a week from Saturday. I don't know.
It's pretty soon. Yeah,
it's coming up around the corner. I lose track of when all these bowl games are, but I know that theirs is eventually coming. And so I think that was the logic of just like, is it worth it to risk an injury for a guy who is he been sitting at home? How much has he been working out? Is he just on holiday break like the rest of us, adding 5 pounds? I don't know what he's been doing at home. So is it worth it in a Sunday Sun Bowl in which nobody else is playing to risk his long-term health when he's your team next year. You need that guy.
Well, him and Malik Murphy, yes.
Yes, could be Malik Murphy. And if you can run the ball, you're going to have a chance in a lot of those games. And so you need him healthy. I don't blame him at all for just saying, dude, it's not worth it. I think teams look at these bowl games now, as much as it sucks for fans, like I'm glad that some of the guys on my team are playing in the Fiesta Bowl, but I wouldn't have blamed anybody for saying it's not worth it. And some of the guys are saying it's not worth it. It just, a lot of these games don't matter. It's practice for the young guys. It's get some of your freshmen and sophomores some reps. Like, don't risk an ACL injury in the Sun Bowl against Notre Dame.
Friday, December 29th will be the bowl game. They play at 2:00.
Okay, week from Friday then. Okay.
Yes. They'll be in the Sun Bowl, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. It's great.
It's going to be sold out, evidently.
Tony the Tiger joke. Great.
So I don't have any fun quippy, Tony.
Sorry, my kids don't understand cereal commercials quite like we had them.
Frosted Flakes bowl. I'm so confused.
Because Tony the Tiger,
he's Tony the Tiger.
He's bigger than the Frosted Flake.
He's not.
Ooh, really?
Controversial.
That's
statement.
a hot take poll question. Who's more important in the Frosted Flake
Who's a bigger
relationship?
deal, Frosted Flakes or Tony the Tiger?
Dude, come on. You don't. You're looking for Tony, aren't you? When you go to the aisle, they don't have a big ass flake on the box. You're looking for the Tiger.
I don't know. I think they taste pretty similar to the generic version of Frosted Flakes, if you ask me. I'm sorry. Just Stoner's opinion there on Frosted Flakes. Because honestly, who's enjoying Frosted Flakes past 10 a.m.?
Broke ass Schulte out here just poo-pooing Tony the Tiger like he doesn't have the premier Frosted Flake. We had a shot fired in the Big Ten. We already have a rivalry brewing, and I hate to say this out loud. I'm looking forward to this game. Take a listen to what this coach had to say about another program in his own conference.
I'm really not worried about points per game, passing yardage per game, all the stat stuff. Points per game is interesting, it's important, but, I got another one. I'll hold that in my pocket till January for you. But what is important is wins per game. And if you want to evaluate a quarter, in my opinion, check the wins per game column, because I can think of a guy that entered the conference recently that came with widely acclaimed, offensive stats and all that. And that's usually how those guys get to become well known, because of their, whatever they're doing, throwing it, running it, wishbone. But, then you look a little deeper. So what's this guy's wins per game? And there's usually a correlation. People that just throw the ball around, it makes it tougher to win. It makes it tougher to be on good on defense. I think Phil would tell you that. So there is a team concept here that is really important to me. It's the only way we can win, in my opinion. And come right back to it. I lost my train of thought. Damn.
It happens.
It still gets down to wins per game. I know the other one. There's a school on the West Coast right now that's going to recommit to defense. Mm-hmm. You have a 42 to Tulane last year in a bowl game. So, at a place where, Ronnie Ott played. So I just find it, now they're going to think about defense. To me, that was the first thing we thought about 25 years ago. That ain't going to change. That just ain't going to change. So the coordinator coming in is going to have to understand, this is who we are. It's worked pretty well. We're looking to improve, always looking to improve.
That is Kirk Ferentz at Iowa. And he's clearly talking about Lincoln Riley and USC there.
Yes, he is.
Wins per game is the stat you need to pay attention to. Lincoln Riley, career winning percentage, 802. Kirk Ferentz, 624. Points, who needs to score? Also, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yes.
His kid basically got fired this year, not because they wanted to, because the administrators made him get fired. He's basically looking at the Iowa fans and administrators and saying, yeah, don't care who you hire. He's going to run the most boring offense because we want to win 9-6.
We're going to play defense. That's all we're going to do here. The thing that I'm most excited for in Big Ten expansion, ironically,
USC Iowa suddenly,
is for Iowa to catch their comeuppance. This is a team that has been able to hide in a horrible division for the entirety of this modern Big Ten era, in which Wisconsin for a couple of years is really the only legitimate threat. Minnesota's an afterthought. Illinois sucks. Nebraska's been down forever.
You can argue his entire run at Iowa has benefited from all of these programs just randomly hitting the skids.
Yes, and the 3 elite teams in that conference for the last decade have been Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. All 3 of them are in the other division, and you don't have to play them every year. So now not only are divisions gone, so next year they have to play Ohio State on their schedule, and I know they have occasionally, but with all the teams in the conference, you didn't see them every year. You're now adding Washington to the mix, you're adding USC to the mix, you're adding Oregon to the mix. Like, have fun, dude. There is not a team that has benefited from softer divisional scheduling more than Iowa over the last 6 to 7 years in college football, and him being able to brag about winning 9 or 10 games despite scoring 6 points per game. This is going to go out the window now that they have to play a legitimate schedule. They don't in non-conference. They play essentially nobody, and they get their Iowa State rivalry game, but I cannot wait. They play the Huskies next year. They play Ohio State next year. Like, have fun, dude. Have fun in the real world.
I think Iowa sports fans are probably pretty great. If you went to an Iowa football game, I bet you'd have a great experience. They're loyal. They can't like this stuff, right?
There's no chance you can like. I don't get how you could.
Like,
or understand how much you've benefited from scheduling.
The next guy's coming in. He's got to kind of understand it's defense and punting. Like, the punter got the biggest ovation at senior day at Iowa today. Did you know that? Or this year? The punter, because he was so good for them in flipping field position that he was their best offensive asset. The guy that was knowingly doing a turnover was the most decorated player on their team this year. This is terrible. I actually feel bad for Iowa fan. Yeah. They go to these games, they freeze their ass off. I bet you the highlight of their day, and it should be, but the highlight of their football Saturday every week is to wave at kids in a hospital, not watch their actual team, because that brand of football sucks to watch.
One of my favorite Pac-12 memories, RIP Pac-12, was the 2016 Rose Bowl. And that was the year that Iowa was like undefeated for a large stretch of the year without playing anybody, winning games like 12-10, 12-9. And we had to entertain this conversation at the end of the year. Should they be in the play? Should we put Iowa in the playoff? They went undefeated into the Big Ten championship game. They got waxed in the Big Ten championship game. They then went to the Rose Bowl and they played who should have won the Heisman Trophy, and Christian McCaffrey and Stanford. Oh. That was a Stanford team that lost early in the year to Northwestern. I think Oregon beat them that year as well with Vernon Adams randomly. That knocked them out of the playoff, and they won 45-16, and McCaffrey just ran all over.
Wasn't the first play a 70-yard touchdown?
It was 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Like, welcome to playing a real team. You don't get to play Minnesota 9 times anymore.
Over or under, you guys, I know we're up against it, but over or under 3 seasons, if I put it over under 3 seasons, you think, before Kirk Ferentz is fired?
Well, his contract actually, he has a Riley contract. So what that means for people who don't remember Mike Riley, if Mike Riley made a bowl game, there was no negotiation. His contract automatically extended. So I want you to do the math here. He's had this contract. They've been in a bowl game seemingly every year for the last 10 years. I don't know if they can get out of this. He has to retire, I think, is what it boils down to.
They can't fire him?
His contract is extended out. I want to say it's to 2028, 29.
Yeah, the dude has a forever contract.
Basically a forever contract because he give him a credit for he's at least made Iowa a winning program, but it's not a sexy, fun way of winning football games, but they have won. And because they've won, he basically got himself the rollover deal where if he gets a certain record, and I think it's 6-6 or 7-5, extension.
Imagine the balls it takes, though. Look, I love making fun of Lincoln Riley, and I don't know what's going on in his program right now with all the guys entering the portal, and maybe he's going to the NFL. That guy's won Heisman trophies. He's been to the college football playoff multiple times.
It's an 802 winning percentage to 624. What are we comparing?
You're taking shots at that, and you're Iowa? Who the hell do you think you are?
We've got Mayor Adams audio from New York City. The easiest question to answer, and he screwed it up. I don't know how he did it. We have to evaluate that. An observation from life. We've got more football dealings to get to, and the mail sack at 8:15. Dirt and Sprague. We got a lot more to touch on and talk about. But first, Schultze with a sports update.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by Toro Mexican Kitchen. Transport yourself to Baja, Mexico with delicious regional dishes and cocktails. Book your table today at ToroPDX.com. First on The Fan, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Philadelphia Eagles in a must-win Monday Night Football matchup. 20-17 the final after a Jackson Smith-Njigba touchdown catch from Drew Lock in the final minute. Seattle now 7-7 as they prepare for for the Tennessee Titans next week in their hunt for the playoffs. In college football, former UCLA quarterback Dante Moore announcing he will transfer to Oregon. He previously flipped his commitment from Oregon to the Bruins last year, but comes back to the Ducks with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Another good news for your Duckies, they have flipped Indiana transfer offensive lineman Matthew Bedford away from Colorado. He was a 4-year starter for the Hoosiers. Elsewhere, 5-star 2024 quarterback recruit Dylan Raiola has switched his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska. And on to the association, the Portland Trailblazers back at it tonight, hosting the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix a 7.5-point favorite. Shaden Sharp, a game-time decision. He's got right adductor soreness. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. on Root Sports. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
During the Jeep Wrap Up the Year sales event, well-qualified current FCA lessees get a low-mileage lease on the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Willys 4xe for $359 a month for 36 months with $3,979 due at signing. Tax, title, license extra. No security deposit required. Call 1-888-925-JEEP for details. Requires dealer contribution and lease through Stellantis Financial. Current vehicle must be registered at least 30 days prior to lease. Extra charge for miles over 30,000. Includes 7,500 EV cap cost reduction. Not all customers will qualify. Residency restrictions apply. Take retail delivery by 1/2. Jeep is a registered trademark.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims,
We'll get to some bull beef coming up top of the hour. It's a long audio clip, but I want to play it because it was pretty funny. So that's coming up here in a bit. We don't have enough time here to get to it.
Good bull beef. I like it.
Good bull beef. Did you guys watch
Did you pull the audio?
It's in the system from yesterday.
Okay.
Did we watch Old Dominion yesterday? Did anybody watch Old Dominion?
The basketball team? Or
Nah, come on, bro. That was the bowl game yesterday. They were up 21-0 in the first quarter, and Western Kentucky came back and won in overtime 38-35 in the famous Toastery Bowl.
You
didn't watch the famous Toastery Bowl?
Not a bowl game.
As a bettor on Old Dominion, it was a tough one for me.
No one cares!
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
It's weird because our job is sports, and I just every year and especially with the portal and the opting out for NFL stuff, I didn't care when I was younger. I definitely am getting closer to not caring whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't blame anybody for that opinion. This is why I enter bowl pools, so I will have at least something to keep an eye on. And because it is there's a part of me that gets sad this time of year. Like, college football season is such a sprint to the finish line. And then then there's like a weird gap, and then you start playing these bowl games. And if you don't care, the season just kind of fades away. And so I do like this is the last chance we get to watch college football again until August. This is the last job we got, man. You got like 2.5 more weeks, and it's just gone for like 6 months. The season goes by so quick. So that's why I tend to watch games. Plus, that one was on at like noon on a Monday, and I don't have a lot going on noon on a Monday.
Yeah,
so
I can appreciate
I don't
that.
have kids, and so I would just sit around the house.
No judgment.
Hey, look at this. Old Dominion, Western Kentucky.
The Hilltoppers.
Let's get weird here.
Yes.
I do have a quick take, and then we'll get to Jerry Kill audio here in a moment. You mentioned it earlier. I did want to highlight it again. Big news yesterday in the college football world. We saw it coming. It was projected that it was going to happen. It's different when it becomes official. Dylan Raiola going to Nebraska is a really big deal.
Pretty wild.
Really big deal. You're talking about a top 5 recruit in the country, the number 1 quarterback in the country.
Isn't he a Georgia kid? What state is he in?
He lives in Georgia, but his family just moved there this year.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember where he's originally from.
Well, I thought that was what added it to me was a bigger deal. Was like, the in-state kid who's choosing not to go to the best program in college football.
Yeah.
And he's going to Nebraska.
I think I don't know where he was born, but he just moved to there for his senior year. Why? I don't know. But his family just moved to Buford, Georgia.
I know he's going to be really rich, and he is now, but like that lifestyle of being a high school stud who has to move around from a state to a different state just to play a sport, that's got to be awful for high school experiences.
He has gone to 3 different high schools in his career.
That's terrible.
He started high school in the state of Texas at Burleson High School, went to 1 year at Chandler High School in Arizona.
Powerhouse.
And then moved to Buford, Georgia to go there. Why? I don't know.
Shout out Marcus Wheaton.
But this is, to me, look, I don't know how this is going to work. Maybe he's in the portal in a year. Maybe he's in the portal in 2 years. The odds are probably pretty good that that's going to happen. This is what I love about name, image, and likeness, though, is that we always just assume that Georgia and Bama are going to get every player. And here is a kid who, whether it's family ties or not, NIL played a big factor in this. We know it did. Nebraska got all their ducks in a row. His dad played at Nebraska. His uncle's on the staff. Like, this was a big all-in move for them, and it probably cost them millions of dollars to do it. And I'm sure Georgia looked at the price tag and was like, we won a national championship with Stetson Bennett. We'll be okay. We're recruiting great everywhere else. So we're not going to pay you X amount of dollars to come to Georgia. We'll go find another quarterback. Carson Beck's coming back for another year. Dylan Raiola going to Nebraska is a really big deal for college football, and I think it's awesome.
I think it's good. The portal's definitely created more parity. I actually will push back on something you said there. I don't think Georgia has that position. I think Georgia's pissed, feels a little blindsided, a little betrayed in some ways because the Raiola family. It's an underrated thing that has not been discussed. Do you know that Tua in Hard Knocks, I know you're not watching the in-season Hard Knocks. I think I missed the last episode, but Tua basically in the episode admits out loud, like, because his family dynamic's interesting. His brother's at Maryland right now. I think he's trying for another year of eligibility so he can cash in on NIL.
He was originally at Alabama with him and transferred to Maryland.
He was. Do you know that Tua's dad made him go to Alabama? Like, Tua had no interest in Bama. He wanted to go to USC. In fact, he told his dad he went to visit USC, and I forget, Lane Kiffin might have been there or Sark. I can't remember. But whoever was he said, Dad, I love USC, and this seems like a good fit for me. I want to be in SoCal. It's a shorter flight to Hawaii anyway. And his dad said, the hell you will. You're going to Alabama and you'll like it.
And you like it.
And like, I know it's not portrayed as a negative thing. I feel like that's a little, does it come out wrong? I feel like that's a little abusive. Like, your kid can't make his own college decision. You're making him. And it was a weird thing because Tua's just like laughing it off. And I'm like, I don't think that's very funny. I would never make my kid go to a different school based on something if they feel more comfortable at a different school.
I had those vibes in the Barry Sanders doc because his dad was a diehard Oklahoma fan.
He gave him the FU.
Didn't recruit him. Oklahoma State did, so he went to Oklahoma State, and his dad was pissed at him on signing day.
Yeah, well, I think he watched that Barry Sanders doc. My takeaway is everything he did in his career was a big FU to his dad because he silently just did things and never talked back to his dad.
He said he could never be Jim Brown. He'll never be the best running back of all time.
He said the best running backs in NFL history or in football history are Jim Brown, himself, and then his son.
Yes.
He never played past high school in football, and he put himself ahead of his son. Anyways, my point is, I hope that that's not what's happening here.
Yeah, we never know. You never know the dynamics.
But it feels like it is. My final point, and I got away from this, I disagree. I think Georgia's pissed. Every advantage you can find on that sport to be at the top of it, you want it. And if this kid hits the way that he's been hyped, Georgia might have Carson Beck and be okay. Nebraska's going to have a effing stud at quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tell me Georgia doesn't care about it, I don't buy it. So I think this is good for the sport. And I think teams like Georgia are getting pissed that they're not just cleaning up with all of the top recruits at every position.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not pissed. You never want to lose a kid at the last second. I think their philosophy right now would be similar to when Dante Moore went to UCLA a year ago. Like, all right, good luck. We'll see how it works out. And if he plays and he flames out or it's bumpy in year one, he probably could end up in the portal. I hope that doesn't happen because I want this kid to stick at Nebraska.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have a relevant Nebraska team again in college football.
I agree.
But I think that's the philosophy now of these staffs. If they understand, like, yeah, of course you're upset at the last moment. This is identical to what happened to Dante Moore last year. He was committed all along to Oregon until basically the week of signing day. And then out of nowhere, you're like, where the hell did that come from? Why are we going to UCLA? What's the cause and reason for it? And you keep the communications open because he's probably going to be in the portal in a year or two. If he's not, then you move on and you go find the next guy. This is where I would love
Carson Beck, by the way, not in the playoff. And I know it was a margin of 3 points, but like if Raiola's Raiola, I don't know if that game is a 3-point margin or a Georgia blowout. I think that's kind of what I'm saying is the difference is.
Well, I don't know if he's ready to play right away. That's a tough part. Like Arch Manning was the number one kid. I don't know enough about high school football.
I think Raiola traveling around tells me he's instantly day one starter, and I don't know how ready he will be. But my point is, Beck was their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They were fine, but like they're not in the playoff. That's a problem for Georgia.
Yeah.
It's nitpicking and it's a 3-point margin in their first loss in 3 years. But that's what we're talking about is that gap. It's that slim a margin where, Beck is okay. They didn't make the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So they took a step back.
Yeah, they will be next year in a 12-team playoff because Georgia's going to be in there every year. That's the unfortunate part. I just love it. I love the spread out of talent, and I hope this works out. I hope it sticks in Nebraska. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't, but this is a big deal for college football to not allow just the rich to keep getting richer and richer and richer and to have a little bit of spread of the wealth. So good for Dylan Raiola for going to Nebraska. We got a lot to get to. Don't forget, Mailsack coming up at 8:15. Get your questions into the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. You can also fire them up on the YouTube live chat, and we'll answer them coming up at 8:15. We got a college bowl game beef. We got a really dumb comment from a politician. You know what? Let's do that next. We got some fun with audio. That's next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Woo! Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
They put a second back on the clock. 13 ticks left. They're going for it all with A.J. Brown. Catch is made by Seattle for the interception.
Yeah, there's Joe Buck, Monday Night Football. 2 picks for Jalen Hurts, 19 tuds, 12 picks. Says they're not focused enough. Seahawks come back and beat the Eagles.
I don't think he was focused enough in the fourth quarter when he threw 2 terrible interceptions that cost his team the game. They led throughout. They controlled the entire game. He threw a pick in the end zone and then one on the final drive. Don't throw those picks and you win the game.
Who's stinking it up? The Eagles, 3-game losing streak. Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Get your time back. Let the pros tackle whatever projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd.
And do you really think if you gave Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Sean Payton, Pittsburgh's offense, it would look like this? I mean, I know it's Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, but would it look like this? This is embarrassing. I mean, Pittsburgh's got a really good young tight end, 2 excellent wide receivers. I don't love both their backs. And the O-line, come on.
The original home of The Herd with Colin
7:15. We got bull beef, top of the hour. Sprague's dressed up like a duck. Finally looks good on the show. You can go check that on YouTube. We also tweeted out a picture at Dirt and Sprague.
I look like a puppet because I thought dirt was zoomed in on my fingernails. I have little O's on my fingernails.
Yeah, I gave you fingernail decals.
But now I just look like a puppet who's just like...
I didn't know those were even a thing. I found those at the duck store the other day.
You know, I didn't know what to do with them. You gave them to me, and I'm like, I think these go on my nails. I don't know.
Put them on your nails, man.
Yay.
If you guys were politicians in Portland, there's obviously a lot of things that we would love to change, but you have to be optimistic and positive about your city. Let's say you're the mayor of Portland. You've both been elected, dual mayors of Portland. I asked you the question in an interview, and I say, hey, what's one word to describe Portland? What would come to the top of your mind?
Rebirth.
Ooh, I like that. Like a phoenix from the ashes. No more homeless people.
Businesses
Needles are off the floor.
Pioneer Square's great again.
I like that. So you give it like a positive spin, right? It's a rebirth, right?
Even if it's not true, you have to say something that either emphasizes how awesome it is or it's gonna be awesome right quick.
Either I'd be the glass half empty guy, and I'd say hurting. So you say rebirth, I say
hurting.
Portland.
Yes.
Hurting.
Thank you. We just moved here a year ago. Great word.
Well, this happened.
Where'd you move? The hurting area.
My answer's still better than Mayor Eric Adams. I bet you that.
This happened in New York. Eric Adams, who is the mayor, he has one of my favorite political scandals. He didn't actually live in New York City. And he had to like fake his kids. Do you guys remember this when he ran for mayor? He had to like fake his kid's apartment. He had to take a news crew into the apartment, and there was like posters on the wall. You could clearly tell it was the like apartment of like a 22-year-old. But he had to pretend that this is where I live. It's my household, man. I mean, I'm a New Yorker.
Any different than current senators in?
No. I remember when Chris Dudley tried to do that when he ran for mayor. He lived in Vancouver. Like, bro, come on, dude. You can't run for governor and not live in the state. Like, you're not. Come on now.
I think Adams also, to tee this up even better, like I think he leaned really into the left for the libs to vote for him, and then like he kind of started going more center rightish for people, and then like he just got caught up in a political financing scandal.
He's like taking money from Egypt or something, dude. This guy's having a rough go. Well, he was asked the easiest layup question of all time. It's New York frickin' City, right? They're ahead of the New Year's Eve celebration in like 2 weeks. Everybody's going to be in Times Square. He was asked to describe New York City in one word, and here's his answer.
When you look at the totality of the year, if you had to describe it, and it's tough to do, in one word, what would that word be, and tell me why?
New York.
Great word.
This is a place where every day you wake up, you could experience everything from a plane crashing into our trade center to a person who's celebrating a new business that's open. This is a very, very complicated city, and that's why it's the greatest city on the globe.
It's the greatest city in the globe.
Yes.
Because a plane could at any moment hit a tower and kill thousands of people. Okay.
At any moment, that could happen.
If whoever's running against, I don't know how the political system works in New York, whoever runs against him, like, just make that your ad.
Yes, just run that on loop.
Sum it up for us, Eric, in one word. New York.
It's not
planes hit towers, people die, or businesses get started.
It's 2 words. Yeah, New York's 2 words.
Sometimes people get jobs and you go, they got to be so much smarter than me. And then you hear them talk and you go, no, you're just an idiot and somebody's running everything for you.
Yeah, you never know. You got to keep an eye out. So
why would he go there?
I don't know. That's
22 years later.
I got nothing.
Lots of word salad on the show today. I mean, Ferentz, just idiot, lost his train of thought.
Yeah.
Like, we all do that, but it's like, God, you're talking about how crappy your offense is. And you can't even keep your mind on that.
But he's railing against offense while his offense is the worst in the country.
Yeah.
And Eric Adams is like, let me tell you why this city's great. At any given moment,
terrorist attacks.
You could die at the top of a building.
I mean, that's the easiest layup of a politician of all time. Like, give me a word to describe your city. You get rebirth. Even hurting is like, you can at least explain. Like, hey,
but
we're going through some stuff.
Say
like,
hurting.
You probably wouldn't publicly say it, but it's better than saying we might have a terrorist attack at any moment.
Well, you can throw them actually in the same category. Hurting.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Both hurting.
It's so nice if we actually force politicians to live where they're going to govern. Like, I wish that we had a rule, like, you have to be either from or have lived in the spot you're running for 20 years. Like, that eliminates all outside parties. Knowing where you're running in and then going to rule, like, dude, that... Kind of a big deal, no?
Can I throw this at you, Schultze? Like, if I told you Tina Kotek's going to move next door to you, like, don't you think your opinion changes of these people if they actually have to live, like...
If you're, like, actually neighbors with him and you see him every day?
Hey, Ted Wheeler, where do you live? Right up the road from Laurelhurst Market, Southeast Portland.
I would love
nice little flat.
No, off of Foster.
I would love to talk to Tina Kotek if she lived next door. I saw a Portland City Council member shopping at the New Seasons I was at, and I'm like, thank you. Like,
you know what Portland City Council members look like?
Yeah, they
bold move.
Well,
how did you know it was a city council member,
dude?
That's true.
No, we're giving you credit.
Yeah.
No, and it was actually it was very, very sadly the Portland City Councilwoman that lost her husband in that car crash down in Salem a few years ago. So I mean, her name is slipping my mind, but it was just like she was very prominently in the news, so very easy to recognize.
If you saw her at New Seasons and your thought was one of us, I'd be like, oh, there's that politician money. You're shopping at New Seasons.
Well, so was
we're going to Winco.
Are you in the organic section?
I was getting some yummy New Seasons sandwiches. So
they do have delightful meats at New Seasons.
I don't hate it. I just...
Big fan of their meats.
4 things in your total. 44.88.
Yeah, it'll happen. So there you go. Eric Adams with just a terrific answer. What makes New York great? You never know when a terrorist attack's going to strike. So there you go. Shout out to Eric Adams, and have fun, everybody, in Times Square for New Year's Eve. We got a lot to get to in the final hour. Mailsack coming up at 8:15. Get your questions in. Vancouver Ford text line, YouTube live chat. We'll start with some fun with audio continued, and that is bowl beef. We got bowl beef, baby, and I love it. Next on The Fan. Thanks everybody for watching, liking the video. Shane posting that Sean McDermott really loved that answer, and that is a terrific comment.
Was Sean McDermott on his couch?
Yes!
DiCaprio style. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
That's right. You never know when it's going to strike.
Terrorist execution and chemistry. New York City.
The communication off the charts, man. You got to communicate with people around you. Got to communicate.
Has anybody skated on a very controversial / fireable offense more than Sean McDermott the last couple weeks because his Bills are suddenly winning?
What happens when you win?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. This is the truth in every sport that's ever been played. If you win, nobody cares.
I love that Luke saw me and laughed and then said, of all the things, it's your face. It's just your face. Your face in that outfit is the thing. And then Joey saw me, our engineer, and he just chuckled like Seth Rogen after hitting a bong and went, maybe you should stop betting.
It's good advice.
So thank you. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you, Joey. Speaking of stories that totally disappeared, I saw a tweet the other day and I was reminded of it. And it's a fantastic point that has not been brought up in a while. Remember when Connor Stallions went on the Central Michigan sideline with sunglasses that record? And Central Michigan said, we're going to look into this. We're going to get to the bottom of this. And then nothing ever happened.
Well, I've been thinking about it every week.
No, they said we're going to look into this. They had a coach who was not a coach, not one of their coaches, wearing sidelines that have recording spectacles, little things in the sides of them.
Well, because he's doing side work.
Don't
we know this?
He was on the sidelines at Central Michigan. We all know he was on the sidelines. Central Michigan said, we'll get to the bottom of this, and then just never was asked about it again.
I want everybody to do something for me. By the way, I have not forgotten about it.
Okay.
Did you see what happened to Michigan?
No. What happened now?
The linebacker coach they fired.
Oh, yeah, he got hired at Alabama.
And he's immediately, they said, eligible to coach in the bowl game, which means give us all the deets. I cannot wait for Ken Barkley's gift basket from Connecticut. Just bear with me here for a quick second.
Sure.
Duck, Husky, Beaver, Cougar, any other fan base, UCLA, I don't care. All of them. Can we just agree? If any of these schools that we all hate that aren't ours made the playoff while knowingly cheated, we would be losing our effing minds.
Yes, we would.
And I want to go back to the conversation. We touched on it, but I don't think it's so much a Florida State Bama thing as we had a team admit to cheating, and they just get the 1 seed?
They just get the 1 seed.
And we just move on? No big deal. The coach has coached 3 games all year. Just move on.
Played nobody in non-con. I would argue.
I mean, Schultz, imagine if the Oregon Ducks got caught cheating in the year and Lanning coached 3 games and then they just went to the playoff and nothing happened to them.
And played Baylor School for the Blind 3 times in non-conference.
Imagine if the Huskies did this or the Beavers or whoever team you like or hate. Just imagine that happening and how ridiculous this is that we're going to watch them play Bama and we're going to watch them maybe get their ass kicked.
Hopefully.
And we're going to go, cool, look what happens when you can't cheat.
Like what happened to them in the playoff last year as a 14-point favorite against TCU.
And TCU was giving up fake gang signs.
Yes.
Like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I just see every SEC team yelling at Oregon and being like, you're a pretender. You're a faker. That's all I can see.
I mean, we argued the Alabama-Florida State thing, and we definitely don't need to get into that again. I would argue that if I were a committee member, Alabama's resume is better than Michigan's resume.
100%.
Because I don't care about, like, this whole thing about you have to be undefeated. Like, I look at who'd you play.
I agree with
How many good teams did you play? At least Florida State has the argument we played LSU in non-conference.
We beat everybody that was put in front of us. That's
and we played a non-conference game that actually mattered, whereas Michigan played UNLV, Bowling Green, and I can't even East Carolina in non-conference. They didn't play a relevant game until November. They cheated their ass off the entire season, and it's just like, oh, yeah, 1 seed. And this dude was on the sidelines of a Central Michigan game, and we just moved on. Has anybody asked Central Michigan for comment on this in the last 2 months?
Yes.
Because this story has been just lingering in the ether for a long time.
I grew up on Charles Woodson. Michigan football was always my thing. I rooted for him against Ohio State. I loved Michigan football. They've finally broken me. I want to watch them get pummeled. I want to see Bama, who I disagreed with getting into I want to watch them beat Michigan. And Harbaugh coached my NFL team and gave me some great years.
Yeah, 3 straight NFC title games.
But his shtick the last couple years, this holier than thou, we're America's team. We just operate on God and milk and all of it, all of the I kind of hate it. I hate them now. I kind of hate them now.
Tend to agree with you.
I love the helmet. Kind of hate them.
Never thought I'd actually root for Alabama in a college football playoff.
Me either.
But I'm being put in that position. And God forbid Washington wins, then I got to root for Alabama again.
No,
I got to double dip Alabama. That, you know how dirty that's going to feel? I mean, it's going to be the right decision, but it's going to feel dirty.
I pull for UW in that game.
I mean, that's fine. You can do whatever you want.
You really wouldn't?
God, no. The conference is dead.
Yeah, you're right.
Conference prestige no longer exists.
You also don't want that fan base to go, hey, guess what we have a whole part of?
We actually have a real one now.
We got 1.5. You don't even have one.
How about this? So we got bowl beef, and I quite enjoyed this the other day. I don't think anybody watched, but New Mexico State was in a bowl game this weekend, and the head coach of New Mexico State, shout out Jerry Kill, is the head coach of New Mexico State.
Former Gophers coach.
Former Gopher. He used to have seizures all the time.
That's why he left.
He left, and I think he's better medically. I can appreciate people that reach a point in life when they just genuinely don't care anymore. Like Jerry Kill's got to be up there in age. He's been through medical stuff. He's coaching in New Mexico State. Like he's been through some things, and he just doesn't care. He's going to say whatever the hell's on his mind, and I appreciate that. Their bowl game was in New Mexico. They were playing in the New Mexico Bowl, which is played at the University of New Mexico. I believe it's University of New Mexico, not New Mexico University. Apologize to any New Mexico fans out there. They're playing at their rival stadium. I did not know this has happened, but evidently in the final week of the season when they play the rivalry game, the quarterback in New Mexico State at the indoor practice facility of New Mexico, they were getting a walkthrough in before the game. He peed on the field of their indoor practice facility.
Cool.
It's like a jokey rivalry thing. Ha ha.
That's not funny.
Peeing on the field.
It's public urination.
That drains, right?
Should be a fine.
Most of those fields have drainage systems.
Yeah, you go walk over where somebody pissed on a turf, and you tell me how good you feel about that.
I hope we don't fine for public urination, because then I'd be broke. I've publicly urinated a lot in my life. Well, he peed on their practice field, and then Jerry Kill said that they retaliated by not allowing them to use that indoor facility or give them any accommodations while they were there for the bowl game. Here's Jerry Kill.
We were taken care of 100%, and it was a great bowl game, and hopefully we can do a good enough job to come back someday. But they did a great job, and I appreciate it. Now the other part of it's this, we had all kinds of stuff, here at the bowl game trying to get done. He had to fight his ass off to get us to be able to practice in an indoor because of a situation that happened, down the road. Most of you know that. Okay. I did my part. I disciplined the young man. And it may not be the time to do it, but gosh, I'm going to get off my damn mind because I hadn't said anything about it. We disciplined the young man. He doesn't get to do any interviews and stuff like that. If you want to take a toothbrush and clean toilets all the time, that ain't a lot of fun. And do community service. Well, guess what? I hope the AD here gets the same damn discipline with the people around this state that Diego got, because he deserves it. And it don't bother me a damn bit. When he don't let us want to practice in the indoor facility, when he don't want us to do this and do that, that's chicken. And I don't care. That's my opinion. I get in trouble. I don't give a either. Because I can go down, and I can go down to Mexico tomorrow, drink margaritas.
Hell yeah!
And let you all enjoy your life.
Oh, I will.
Because I'll be enjoying mine.
Hell yeah!
But I got class. I've had class my whole life.
Yes, you have.
And you can ask the college football profession.
You're damn right.
I've had class.
Yeah, you have.
Never been treated like that. And guess what? When that incident happened, I didn't know about it for 2 months. And we beat them right here. Then they tell me after the game, take that to the bank. And he better be disciplined.
Yes.
He better be disciplined by the state.
Cool.
And if he's not, it's a crime.
Take that to the bank.
Yes. I'm going to go fish in Mexico and drink a margarita. I don't care what you think of me.
I would argue, why aren't you doing that now? Like, you've already had the seizures. But you know what? He loves football, and so I love people that are committed to something.
They also lost their bowl game 37-10 to Fresno State. Fresno State drilled them.
Nobody cares. I mean, they made the bowl game. That's all that matters. It's a bigger deal to make the bowl game than it is the actual result anymore. I think that's a good poll question. Is it a bigger deal to make the bowl game than the actual result of the bowl game, given the portal, the NFL, all that crap, people opting out of it? I love this answer, and I also just love I don't care. I go down and drink margaritas in Mexico the rest of my life. Do something to me, I dare you.
Their AD should be punished for not letting us use the indoor facility. Yeah, New Mexico tried to push back. They were like, no, we didn't do any of this. But I don't know why a coach would rant about this if they were given every accommodation necessary when you're playing a bowl game in New Mexico.
Is he kind of openly asking to be fired so he can go to Mexico? Is that his way of
I like my buyout. That'd be great. I want to go to Mexico.
Dude, his buyout in Mexico, he's going to live like a king.
You owe me $2.4 million, and I'd like to cash that in right about now.
Deep sea fishing every other day if he wants with that money.
Let's look at Jerry Kill's contract.
Jerry Kill is a good coach, by the way. I know we're having fun with this. He's a good football coach.
He is going to make $650,000 a year.
How far that goes in New Mexico?
Through 2027. So he's got, 4 years left, 3-4 years left on his deal? Making $650K a year.
It's funny you ask how far that goes in New Mexico. Pretty far, but you gotta live in New Mexico, dude. It's not that.
Is
have
it
you
that
been
bad?
there?
I poo-pooed New Mexico the other day to a
Never
buddy.
been.
I'm like,
Outside of Santa Fe and maybe some stuff in Albuquerque, because I think Santa Fe got it's near a mountain. And
what about Breaking Bad?
skiing.
Like, didn't people start going there because of Breaking Bad?
Yeah, you can go see the house, man.
Well, people go to Roswell because there's supposedly aliens there, but it's really just a couple of shacks in the middle of the desert. And what is New Mexico? An entire state of desert.
How did they?
Poo-poo in New Mexico.
Well, I've been there. And
Yeah,
there
it
was
makes sense.
Nothing going on.
It sounds like me talking about Oklahoma or Alaska. It's like, hey,
I'm in Oklahoma.
When you immediately drive over the border into Colorado to get weed because that's where it's legal to sell, it's like, oh, look at these mountains. This is beautiful. And then you literally right back over to the corner of New Mexico and it's desert again.
that John Denver's full of crap,
He
man.
totally is. A point from a P1 saying, speaking of Jerry Kill, look how horrific New Mexico State has been for the last 60 years, and realize Jerry Kill has them in back-to-back bowl games and a berth in their conference championship game. Sneaky, one of the great coaching jobs of all time. I didn't know that they were that bad, but I'll take your word for it.
No,
Good for Jerry Kill.
They were a bottom feeder of college sports in football. Go look at his Minnesota years too.
Yeah, they weren't terrible.
Jerry Kill's he's a good little coach. Yep. These coaches, there's a ton of Jerry Kills that never get the attention or conversations about them. I think Kill, Riley, I think you've got guys that they're in this category, but all we talk about is four guys.
The
really.
same guys over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He is 62 years old.
I think it's a little older than 62.
Hang it up, Jerry. What are we doing?
I mean, 62 is not that old. You're probably going to be working when you're 62. We work in radio.
Yeah, but exactly. I haven't made hundreds of thousands of dollars to be a college football coach.
He's
with
made
medical
millions at this point.
I would imagine being the head coach in Minnesota probably pays millions. He's been a head coach at a bunch of different places, starting all the way back in 1994 at Saginaw Valley. Was in Minnesota for a number of years. Hey. He had a great run, man. Yeah, they won 10 games this year. They did go to their conference championship game. Not happy. Don't pee, I guess, on the indoor practice facility. That's the lesson of the day. Pee outdoors, people. Don't pee indoors. Okay, what should we get to coming up next? How about this?
It's a mail sack.
Oh, it is the mail sack, isn't it? I'm on vacation mode. What do you want from me here?
Really?
I have a story
to admit out loud.
I have a story that I want to get to out of the NFL. So we'll get to that at the bottom of the hour. An unsung hero. But let's get to the mail sack coming up next. Get your questions in. Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. We actually got some good ones coming in. We'll answer them next on the Fan. enjoying the view of Sprague decked out in green and yellow. He looks good today. Looking good.
We're almost there.
You're almost there.
We're almost there.
You look very cute, Sprague.
And I'll tease tomorrow. It's our last show of the year. I'll be honest about that. We have a lot of previews to dive into on games nobody cares about. We're going to have a very big Christmas theme on tomorrow's show.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
It is, yes.
All right, here we go. Mail sack, everybody jump in here. Have you ever kissed someone standing under the mistletoe that you did not know? Ooh.
Oh, let me think about that.
I have not.
No, but New Year's, yes. So technically, same situation. Just
You've kissed a New Year's gal that you didn't know?
In Canada at a bar. We were next to each other. She got a drink before I did, and I used that as the opening, and it just...
Was she hot?
Yeah.
You thought so?
Hey.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I was like,
Look at this, look at that.
Well, how drunk were you?
Pretty into it. But my entire... I had 3 people with me, and they're like, hey, bring her back, bring her back.
Well, that's what good wingmen do.
That's what you do.
Encourage you to close. Always be closing.
Encouragement.
I'm going to say no. I don't think I have.
I have not either. I never have. Millsack, what Oregon football number holds a stronger lineage of greatness? 8, 10, or 58? So 8 would be Mariota, Anthony Newman, Jeremiah Masoli, Javon Holland, 10, Herbert, Nix, or Dixon, 58, Sewell, and Jackson Powers Johnson. I think you have to go number 8. It's the only Heisman Trophy winner. There's great players on both sides of the ball. 10's a good one. 58, look, I love the offensive lineman, and JPJ was great, but it's number 8 because it's your only Heisman, and Anthony Newman's awesome, so I'm going to go with number 8 there. Millsack, with NIL, do you think some players are getting bonuses to play in bowl games?
I think this is the weird thing. Maybe we will get to the point where we collectively bargain or transparency with payment stuff is public knowledge.
I would love that. I would love to know how much each player's making.
I'm just genuinely curious what it took Oregon to get Moore and Dylan Gabriel, because I know he may not want to play, but that's got to be a hard thing to sell in those meetings. Like, yo, you're good. You're not ready yet. You're going to sit on the bench for a year. If Dylan gets hurt, you'll play. I don't think they get bonuses for playing.
I don't think so either.
I think it's just a straight shot. Some programs don't even end up paying guys. You get guys that go and they're like,
they just want to play.
Remember Jaden Rashada? He was like, hey, I'm getting $8 million to go to Florida. And then he's like, where's the money? And they're like, we're not sure we have it. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm out.
Now, I would think maybe you don't get bonuses like directly from your NIL deal or the school, but guys have been signing autographs and making deals on that kind of, stuff for years. So you think...
Well, in that way, then sure.
Yeah, you go to an event, there's probably going to be in whatever city you're at, hey, this guy's... there's probably going to be a couple $10,000, $20,000 contracts handed out for signing autos.
I randomly looked up Oregon State basketball jerseys because I think their basketball unis are pretty sweet. They lean into the old school vibe. And I didn't know this, I should have, but it's kind of crazy to go to team store stuff and you're starting to see names. And what Oregon State does online at the Oregon State shop is if I were to buy a women's basketball jersey for my daughter, it'd be a player on the team. That money goes to her NIL collective.
Which is exactly how it should be. That was the first thing people thought of with NILs. We joked earlier about you wearing a John Boyette jersey.
Yes.
It's number 20 with no name. So it's not John Boyette. It's like, yes, it is. Why is he not getting a cut of that? If somebody bought it, they wanted a John Boyette jersey.
We were at Cannon Beach 2 weeks ago, and I was watching the in-season tournament cup title at a restaurant. The game ends... And you know what comes on after is a Peyton Manning 1998 Heisman 30 for 30. And you see all these highlights of Peyton as a 20-year-old. You're like, God, he looks so young. And what's funny is seeing all the highlights of people going to the Tennessee team store. 18! Woo! But no Manning on the back. How much money did Peyton Manning... it'd be crazy to dig into the numbers of how much these Tebow at Florida, how many 15s and 18s were sold in their time that they didn't get any cut of that money.
Michigan number 2 jerseys with Charles Woodson.
Yes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. No, I don't think that they get bonuses. I think coaches are fine either way. They obviously want guys to play.
I think it's what Schultze's saying. They make extra money doing things going
stuff
into
on the side.
bowl game.
Well, and you get a sweet swag bag. If you go to a big bowl game, they give you all sorts of free crap. So everybody comes home with a duffel bag worth of gear and stuff and watches and TVs and iPads. What they get in these swag bags, I don't think people quite fully understand, especially see at the bigger bowl games. But I think coaches, like, especially if you're coming back for another year, like, I don't think Oregon State's not losing any sleep that Damian Martinez isn't playing in that game.
The fans are.
The fans are, sure. I'm saying this is a coach thing, though.
Yeah.
So that money has to come from somewhere. The fans aren't going to donate $50,000 to Martinez to play in the bowl game. That's a coaching thing. They don't want him to get hurt. They need him to be healthy for next year. He hasn't been practicing with the team the last 2 weeks, so why would we risk an injury? It's not worth it in the Sun Bowl.
I think Will Darkins is still using a PS2 that he got from the Sun Bowl.
Yes.
He was a player there, yeah.
And they tried to go after Rihanna. Tried.
That was before she was big.
It was. She was the halftime performer of the 3-0 Sun Bowl.
You didn't know that, did you, Schultz?
Was that Pitt? Who did they beat?
That was Pitt.
The Pitt Panthers.
Will Darkins was in Rihanna's aura. That's crazy.
He was. He said some of the players were hollering at her, is how he phrased that. Holler.
Heard some good stories from Gabe Miller on that one, too. Millsack, favorite horrible movie that you can't help but watch whenever it comes on? Think of a Steven Seagal or Sylvester Stallone movie. Bad movie. Every time it comes on, you got to watch it.
Any Fast and Furious movie.
I mean, those count, yeah.
Like Cliffhanger with Sly Stallone in it. I believe John... what's the guy's name from Harry and the Hendersons? Forgetting his...
Oh, John Lithgow.
Thank you. Yes, he was in that as well.
I love that you reference Lithgow of all the things. Third Rock from the Sun.
Nah, screw all that,
Cliffhanger.
dude.
You went Harry and the Hendersons. That is right in my wheelhouse. In fact, I might have a Harry tattoo on my chest when I'm 50.
He should. Harry and the Hendersons.
Great Bigfoot. All-time costume makeup job there, and it was done in the 80s.
Yeah, there's not bad movies that I watch on a regular basis, but I famously am a fan of Paul Blart Mall Cop, so I'll go with that one. I don't
watch that?
I mean, I don't watch it, but
they
it's
said when it comes on, you watch it.
I don't watch movies on TV.
Yeah.
When was the last time you watched a movie on TV? My wife does this, and
Yesterday.
I make fun of her endlessly.
Christmas movie on Freeform.
But what Christmas movie was it?
I forget. I wasn't paying attention. You know why we do it?
Why?
Because we've noted that our kids, and I'm sure everybody else's kids, everything is instant for them. It's easy. It's quick.
You want to make them sit through commercials?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
That's for kids.
Work on your attention. Like, you got 4-minute break. Pee and get food and get back. That commercial's going to be done soon.
My wife does this where she'll end up watching a movie on TV, and I'm like, it's on HBO Max. We have HBO. Or she'll watch one, like she was watching the new Grinch the other day on Freeform, and I was like, that's on. We have Disney Plus. It's on, or whatever. I can't remember what streaming, but we have the streaming platform that it's on, and you can watch it without the commercials. But she'll sit there and sit through the commercials, and it makes me laugh every time.
What I hate is when they do the holiday movies and they take the holiday movie away during the holiday. So, like at Halloween, I want to watch some kids-ish Halloween movies. Nightmare Before Christmas. It used to not be on Disney Plus. It would they take it on and off right at the holiday. Stupid. And I hate that.
That is really dumb. This is the time of year where we want to watch it.
Should be the most accessible right now.
I need the swears, though. I can't watch them on TV. That's one of the, Love the Coopers, one of my favorite Christmas movies. I tried watching a TV version of it. It's like,
Love the Coopers?
Do you know what one I watched the other day? This isn't a bad movie.
It's a good one. John Goodman, Olivia Wilde, bunch of good people.
Olivia Wilde. One I watched the other day on TV that just didn't do it justice was Wolf of Wall Street. I can't remember what channel it was on, but I was watching it, and my wife goes, Wolf of Wall Street, huh? And I'm like, I love this movie. And then it's like...
No naked people, there's no cussing.
There's a girl doing something in an elevator where they're doing cocaine. Like, you can't see it. It's like, this is a bummer.
This is the whole point of watching the movie, man. To get some softcore porn.
I might have that in my top 3 of movies all time, and I still can't believe
Look at that.
Leo didn't win the Oscar for that performance.
If you guys were a college football commissioner, what's the first thing that you would fix, and how would you make bowl games meaningful to teams and fans?
Oh, man. Fans, I think, don't need the convincing. Like, we're going to kind of poo-poo some of the bowl games tomorrow, but I think there's a good amount of fans that still care that Oregon's got to beat Liberty, and Oregon State better beat that Notre Dame team. I wouldn't change anything for fans.
Maybe. I don't know if you can make it. Yeah, I mean, how do you make it more meaningful for teams? I think the way to make it more meaningful for teams is to get rid of bowl games and have an expanded playoff further than 12.
I would have a universal scheduling mandate, conference games, and you have to cross over in Power 5 games and leave your stadium. It has to be home and home.
Yes.
I would eliminate, I know this sounds like it would never make money, I'd eliminate neutral site non-conference matchups, go play at stadiums, make college football fun again, and I would mandate conference scheduling alignment. You play 8? Great, we play 8. And then you rotate and you try to make it as even as you can in that department.
I would immediately eradicate conferences and have a roving average. Take like the last 10 years, we'll just do most recent success. They'll say the 48 best teams are tier 1. The next however many, I don't know how many you got to get to like 130, but you break it down into 3 different leagues. And if you're in League 1, you only play teams from League 1. If you're in League 2, you only play teams from League 2. And if you're League 3, you only play teams from League 3. Eradicate conferences. The top 10 in League 2, 3 jump up every year. The bottom 10 drop down.
So you do relegation.
I would do relegation. And I would expand the playoff to...
That's a sore subject right now.
24 to 32 teams and have it basically be a month-long thing every December.
I do what the FCS is doing.
Just go the whole month,
Yeah.
man. You finish the season, eliminate one regular season game if you need to, eliminate the Portland State games from your schedule because nobody wants to watch those as fans anyways. You only play tier 1 teams, so it's a competitive game week in and week out, and we get to the end of the year and you're like, man, you went 9-3. That's a really good year because you played tough teams all year and you didn't have cupcakes all season.
Give them one cupcake.
No cupcakes. I want no
Why?
cupcakes.
Why?
No cupcakes.
Your team, my team, everybody's team does benefit from having a cupcake
Have
game.
it be a preseason game. You play it in August.
I don't
They come to
disagree
your
with that.
stadium. It
Okay.
doesn't count. You want to come get a scrimmage in? We'll come get a scrimmage in.
Okay.
But that game should not count. You should not be able to play an FCS team.
I'd love to do the math on the numbers for Oregon's offense that, like, if you took the 81-point game from Portland State off, what would it change? Like, what points per game? How would that change it? I found it interesting. We didn't get to it. Pro Football Focus did their all-conference rankings on offense and defense. Oregon had 4 guys on offense. Washington had 1. Washington had 2 guys on defense. So the team, quite literally built on having the most dynamic offense, had 1 all-conference guy for Pro Football Focus and 2 defensive guys. That was an interesting choice for them.
Make that one make sense. Since we're about to wrap up 2023, we're going long here on the show. What would you say was the biggest story, event, game of the year for each of you?
The biggest story is Oregon State, Washington State conference exploded and ended.
Yeah.
They're doing the thing that a lot of local journalists and fans tried to tell themselves wasn't going to happen.
No, it won't take place.
Oopsies. It happened, and all the intel was incorrect because we found out who was giving intel to certain journalists. Oh, it was people working in the conference saying the conference was going to be okay.
It's got to be
shocking.
It's got to be that or the Dame thing. The
Dame
Blazers
getting traded,
just blowing up on Damian Lillard and saying, "Hey, screw you, we're moving on." And
think about where we were a year ago, man. Yeah, you added Shane Sharp to the mix.
It's weird that
they sucked a year ago.
I mean, they did, but we didn't expect them to suck. They added
They've been
Jeremy
bad for
Grant.
4 years.
I know they've been really bad.
They're going on a 4-year run here, and I think that's a great one, Schultz, because of the all-time legacy stuff. I just think football always wins out.
Of course, but you already took a good football one, so where am I to go? Come on.
No, yeah.
What am I going to say? The Mariners? Nobody gives a crap about them except me. So no, let's go to the Blazers and talk about how they forced Damian Lillard to sit down the last few games of the season to get a better draft pick, and then said, "See ya." I mean, that's forever going to be my.
They also betray what they say.
And they do.
They told us it was going to be okay, that we were going to trade for a piece with Dame, and we were going to be almost offended by how much they went all in.
We're going to go so hard all in.
You're going to wonder why we're going all in.
We're going to criticize them for being too all in. Remember when that was a thing? That was a thing a year ago. We're going to go so all in.
At the trade deadline,
You're not going to know how to react.
If I could have a beer with Joe C., I like some of these young guys. Good job getting Tamani. Seriously, great job. I would say that's got to be the one you'd want to walk back, right? You're learning. On-the-job learning happens. He's a new general manager. He has to regret saying that sentence. You're going to wonder how we're going all in. What was the exact phrase? We're going to push all our chips in. You're going to be offended by it. I'm like, okay.
You're going to be uncomfortable.
And then we traded him.
We also had a murderer on the team in the last game of the regular season, evidently. That happened last year, too.
Chance Comanche.
Shout out. Blazer legend.
No, that's not. I don't want to.
Don't shout that out.
Why are you shouting that out?
Last one here. Your favorite local deli names a new sandwich after you.
Ooh.
What is on it and what bread does it have? I think I go club. I'm a big club guy. It's probably my go-to
You're
sandwich.
doing a standard sandwich that already exists?
Yeah, I am.
No twist?
I just want my name on it. I can't come up with a better sandwich than a club. Well, on sourdough bread. I want sourdough bread with the club sandwich. That's what I want. That's
I'm gonna go way outside. That's a good dirt. I like the dirt. I'm gonna go the Sprague. It's pretty simple, but you don't see it on the menu. We're going PBJ jalapeno chips inside. Boom. Blew your mind.
Okay. Schulte?
It just sounds gross. I'm going to go...
Chips on a sandwich is necessary.
You've never had peanut butter and jelly with jalapeno chips on it.
You could put Doritos in a peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
you could
Cheetos,
just put regular,
I'm missing out, I guess. I apologize.
You don't put chips in a sandwich?
I put chips in a sandwich, not a PB&J.
Really?
Dude, you got to try this.
I miss it out.
I did this to my friend on a abandoned trip, and he was kind of like you. He's like, what? And I said, try it right now. And I gave him this stuff because I brought my own sandwich stuff to Bandon.
Yeah, you get a nice little crunch.
His mind was blown. He couldn't believe believe how much he liked it.
The Schultz would be Dave's Killer White Bread, because that stuff is still healthy for you, but really, really tasty. And then salami, turkey, and pepper jack cheese.
Salami, turkey, pepper jack.
That's the Schultz.
What's the condiment?
Condiments got to be, olives are on there, and then a little lettuce and tomato.
We were supposed to break 10 minutes.
Do you go like mustard? Do you go mayo? What's your...
Oh, yeah, no, a little. I'm not a huge mayo guy, so a tiny bit of mayo. Probably regular mustard.
All right. Well, we had more there. We didn't get to them. Thank you all for...
When does it cross over from mayo to aioli?
I don't know.
What makes that switch?
You've got to mix the mayo with something. Because if it's just mayo, like without any of the flavor, but then if you go like...
I've had a white aioli with not a lot of flavor, and I'm like, why is that just called mayonnaise?
Sounds like mayo to me.
Yeah. Looks like mayonnaise.
There you go. We went a little long there on the mail sack.
A little.
How much credit does this guy deserve? I want to talk about that coming up next. But first, here's Schultz.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tanasbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on the Fan, the Seattle Seahawks, in a shocking Monday Night Football performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, grab a 2017 win after a Jackson Smith and Jigba touchdown catch from Drew Lock in the final minute. Seattle now 7-7 as they prepare to face the Tennessee Titans next week in their hunt for the playoffs. In college football, former UCLA quarterback Dante Moore announcing he will transfer to Oregon. He previously flipped his commitment from the Ducks to the Bruins last year, but comes back to Oregon with 3 years of eligibility remaining. The Portland Trail Blazers back in action tonight, hosting the Phoenix Suns. The Suns a 7.5-point favorite. Tip-off set for 7 p.m. on Root Sports. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schultz from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino brings you big games on big screens with big-time sports betting action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
Sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Boost Infinite's new wireless technology gives you 3 networks for the price.
want to get to something here.
That was unbelievable by you.
You like that?
That was ultimate vacation dirt mode.
Have a holly jolly Christmas.
10 minutes after the time we should have broke.
Tomorrow we're going to get to a lot of bowl previews because we got to talk about we're not going to be here for the games. So we'll give our playoff previews. We got to preview Liberty. We got to give you a Notre Dame Oregon State Sun Bowl preview.
Can we be honest about something together?
What do you got, Bob?
Are you actually going to read up on Liberty? Like, how's your preview going to go?
No, my preview's going to go. I'm going to give you guys to keep an eye on from Oregon's side that should play snaps in that game. That's the only selling interest that I get to watch Bo one more time. I'm excited about that. How much will he play? I don't know. But also, there's guys that have opted out, guys that aren't playing, guys that have entered the portal. And so you're going to get to see.
I'll do the Oregon State
a decent chunk of freshmen that you're like, all right, let's see this guy play in a Fiesta Bowl. It's kind of cool.
I will not be emotionally moved if they lose, but I'm really rooting for my team to win because Notre Dame never beating Oregon State in the history of football would be the funniest thing ever.
It's a very funny factoid. It is. Like randomly out there.
0-2.
0-2.
I'll make it 0-3.
I will be very offended if my team loses. Don't lose. Don't lose.
Yeah, we
It's
can say
Liberty.
bowl games don't matter, but don't lose to Liberty.
Don't lose.
Yeah.
Win that game 84-0. Send a message. This is stupid. These teams don't belong. Don't put Liberty in this game with us ever again. I want them to score 100. I want this to be Portland State.
I was just gonna say, don't just not lose. Let's keep it like within 30 or 35. Like no, Liberty shouldn't even be close.
Don't let Liberty put you in the corner.
No.
If you catch my
We're not watching.
No.
We're playing.
Yeah.
We're on the field.
We're executing
Okay?
here.
We're going to talk with our helmet.
Yes.
How much credit does this guy get? We'll get to this quickly because we don't have a lot of time here. Do you remember how the Buffalo Bills lost to the Denver Broncos? Do you remember that game? Off the top of your head?
Top of my head. I'm trying to think about that
Well,
one.
I will tell you because I had forgotten too.
Yeah.
They lost that game to fall to 5-5 on the season. They lost on a game-winning field goal after the first field goal was missed, but they had 12 guys on the field.
Oh, that's right.
And the Denver Broncos got another
Yes.
kick, and they won the game with a last-second field goal to drop Buffalo to 5-5. What did Buffalo do after that game? Exactly. They fired their offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah, Ken Dorsey.
Got turfed.
Joe Brady.
They promoted Joe Brady.
The Wonder Kid.
And this to me is a fascinating story because all of a sudden Buffalo is 3-1 in their last 4. Their offense has been on fire basically for a month. They're running the football. Joe Brady was one of the biggest names in the sport 4 years ago.
Yeah.
When LSU won the national title. He was the next up-and-coming thing. And then he randomly took a job with Carolina. They sucked. Everybody's like, why did he go there? Couldn't he have gotten a better job than that? Then he lands in Buffalo. He's just a quarterback coach. He's not an offensive coordinator. And here comes Buffalo. I don't know how much credit we give him. I find it fascinating in the last 4 weeks. The only loss they have in that stretch, by the way, was a game that they lost to Philly when they scored they shouldn't have lost that game, is the end of the argument. They could easily be 4-0 in that run playing great offensive football.
They absolutely could. How much credit do you give? I mean, some of this is opponent-based, right? Like Dallas, if you can establish a run on Dallas, you're going to abuse Dallas. And I didn't think Buffalo would.
They ran for 280 yards on him.
Cook had 221 total yards. It was remarkable. He deserves credit, certainly. I mean, when you look at the rushing numbers, they're up, right? I still think Dorsey got the raw end of that deal. His offense statistically was not the problem. They had lost guys defensively, and they struggled to run efficiently. But you give Joe Brady a lot of credit. I don't like what you said there.
Oh, what didn't you like?
Joe Brady took the right job.
You think so?
Why? I could talk about this for 3 hours, legitimately. Why would you want to coach in college? It's the worst lifestyle. It's total year round. Like, listen to NFL guys. What'd you do? I went 4 wins last year, but I won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, and now I'm in Croatia with my smoke show wife. Thank you, Sean McVay. Hey, Nick Saban, what'd you do? I almost had an aneurysm because a 4-star 18-year-old didn't like me enough. Cool. Must have a great life. It's the NFL is an infinitely better area to coach in football. I wouldn't think twice about that decision. If I was an up-and-coming offensive guy, I too would also bolt to the NFL. It didn't work out. He chose poorly with Matt Rule, but he did the right thing. He didn't go back to college and say, well, I was a good college guy. He said, yeah, I'll make my bones coaching the quarterback. It's Josh Allen. How bad can he make me look anyway?
Yeah, they look good right now.
And he was laying in the weeds, and Dorsey gets fired. He's like, yo, Joe Brady. He's like, yep, I'm here.
This dude, if they finish the year strong, this dude's getting somebody's hiring this guy. Because I don't
know if he's ready to be a coach, but an OC for sure. He's either going to stay in Buffalo or he's going to be smart and go to L.A. and coach with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, somebody said it's because they're running the ball. It's like they were trying to run the ball. Why couldn't you don't think they were trying to run the ball in the first 10 weeks of the season? They tried. They couldn't run the ball. Now they're running the ball.
So they lost that Denver game.
And they won 3 out of 4 cents. I think the only loss in there was they beat Kansas City. They beat Dallas. Yeah. So those are 2 quality wins. They should have beaten Philadelphia. And I can't remember who the other win was against.
I think some of this is, like they lost that Eagle game. They should have won the Eagle game, but like Eagles, susceptible to run. We saw that last night. The Jets have a good defense. Sure, their offense is so bad, though, that the defense breaks down like within the first to second quarter. And then Kansas City, their defense is good, but their defense is as good as their offense allows them to be. I think some of that lined up. It's good for Brady. I give him the credit.
That to me was a storyline that I had forgotten about, and I was looking it up. I was like, that's right. He's their offensive coordinator, and he promoted, and they've now won 3 out of 4 games, and their offense looks good, and now we're all looking at Buffalo like, hey, they're a dangerous team in the AFC playoffs.
How's this going to end for them, too? Chargers and Pats the next 2 weeks. So those numbers are going to keep being as good as they are.
They're going to look really good. All right, let's wrap it up on a Tuesday next on The Fan.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd.
It's official. The San Francisco
Tomorrow, it's our last show, man. Last show of the year. We're heading off on vacation. We're going to have some New Year's resolutions, bowl game previews. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a bowl game tonight, UTSA Marshall. Let's go Roadrunners.
What's that spread?
That is a 12.5-point spread. I took the Roadrunners tonight to cover against the Thundering Herd.
Yeah.
That is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. In Frisco, Texas, I would imagine.
Or San Francisco.
Nah, it's Frisco, Texas.
Yeah.
But there you go. That is our show today, folks. If you missed it, go check the podcast. Service Patriots.
What's so funny?
Service Patriots podcast. 1080thefan.com.
Why is Schulte that?
I mean, trying to sell a really crappy bowl game tonight. San Francisco.
I mean, they're literally
Frisco.
all that way. Aren't they?
What's the spread? I'm not going to place any money on that one.
I mean, maybe you should. Schulte Blazers play tonight. They're at home against the Suns, so we fade them. 7.5 is your line. No fade? No fade?
Well, let's see if Shaden plays. I'll take the Blazers +7 on the Suns.
Bold move.
Suns are a weird team, dude.
Bold move.
By the way, a poll question up. Who is the bigger deal, Tony the Tiger or the Frosted Flake?
Yes.
Flakes, damn it.
Go vote. And I hope you enjoyed the view of Brandon Sprague. If you missed it, you didn't watch it on YouTube, it will be up on YouTube all day long, and you can see his duck gear as he lost the Civil War bet this year. And so,
final one, Sko Ducks. There you go.
Sko Ducks, baby.
There you go.
Need to pull all the Sko Ducks and have it be a perma drop right there. Thanks so much for being a part of our Tuesday, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Calling us next to listening at 1080 The Fan.
I'm PJ Glasser with BetQL. The Ravens take on the 49ers in a battle of the best two teams in the NFL on Christmas Day.